Chapter 2119. Zhuoyang, who had been at odds with Yi Tianyun, was now kneeling respectfully on the ground. The respect on his face was not fake, but real. This surprised Yi Tianyun. He had not expected to see a descendant of the five-colored Emperor Dragon bloodline here. In fact, the star dharma above was not random. They all symbolized the existence of a race. No matter what star dharma it was, it represented a certain bloodline power to be able to attract it. If there was no bloodline at all, it would be impossible to attract the star dharma. This was like the green demon race. Every time they awakened their star dharma, it was always the heavenly demon star. The main reason was that their bloodline was related to these star dharma, so they could awaken these star dharma. Correspondingly, without the dragon race bloodline, it was impossible to awaken the star dharma related to the dragon race. This was not an exaggeration. Even a trace of the bloodline could awaken the corresponding star dharma. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to awaken it. Unless one obtained the corresponding bloodline through other means, there was no way to awaken the star dharma. For example, swallowing the bloodline of others and forcibly absorbing it would have some effect. Many bloodlines might not appear. It was possible that the bloodline had been passed down from the ancestors and only a trace of it was present in this generation. Therefore, this trace of bloodline could not appear, let alone awaken the corresponding star dharma. Now, they all had the five-colored Emperor Dragon bloodline. Perhaps it was not strong, but they all had a little. Of course, even if they had a little, they would not be able to awaken the five-colored Emperor Dragon star dharma. Having the corresponding star dharma only meant that there was a chance, but it did not mean that they would definitely succeed, especially the five-colored Emperor Dragon star dharma. That was a unique star dharma. If Yi Tianyun had it, then no matter how hard they worked, they would not be able to have it. However, the advantage of having the five-colored Emperor Dragon bloodline was that they could awaken the star dharma of the dragon race at will. The five-colored Emperor Dragon was the Emperor of the Dragons, which was equivalent to having the bloodline of the royal family. What dragon race bloodline could not be awakened? When Yi Tianyun, who had the five-colored Emperor Dragon star dharma, appeared, it was equivalent to their true king coming. How could they not worship him? Even if their cultivation was higher than Yi Tianyun's, they still had to worship him. Yi Tianyun felt that this was really incredible. When he had entered, he had swept his gaze over them, and indeed, he had not been able to see the five-colored Emperor Dragon's bloodline in their bodies. The main reason was that it was too thin. In addition, they had other star dharma forms, so they could not probe it carefully. Now that he examined them carefully, he could really detect the five-colored Emperor Dragon's bloodline in them. Some clansmen had more clansmen, while others had fewer. However, no matter who it was, they all had an extremely small amount of the bloodline. Even the Ghana Patriarch only had a small amount. It was just that compared to the other clansmen, they were much more numerous. Sir, I didn't mean to offend you just now. I hope you can forgive me. Zhuoyang kowtowed to Yi Tianyun 3 times. His forehead was swollen and blood was flowing out. Zhuoyang, who had previously been so arrogant and protective of his own people, now kowtowed and admitted his mistake without any hesitation. It could be seen how much of a deterrent this was. Isn't this too exaggerated? This is the first time you've seen me, and you already treat me as your sir, leading you? Yi Tianyun felt that this was a bit of a show. The other party did not know what kind of character they had, and they just let him lead them. What if Yi Tianyun was a heinous person? Wouldn't that be messing around? This has always been the teachings of our ancestors. As long as we have the five-colored Emperor Dragon's star dharma forms, we will worship him as our king. All power will be handed over to you. The Ghana Patriarch knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "Our light moon tribe will be handed over to you. I hope you can lead us to the path of hope. If I do as I please, will you be willing to obey?" Yi Tianyun looked at them and asked, "Yes, as long as it is your command, we will obey." The Ghana Patriarch said decisively, "Then if I ask you to die, will you be willing to obey?" Yi Tianyun asked again, "Yes, as long as you think it is reasonable. We will do it even if it means death." The Ghana Patriarch added, "They really did not have any choice. They completely obeyed Yi Tianyun's instructions. It was not just the Ghana patriarch. Even Zhuo Liang, who had always refuted him, did not make sound. Instead, he chose to agree. This was really strange. To be precise, it was really bloodline. As long as they had the five-colored emperor dragons, star dharma forms, they would have absolute control over them. This was really too decisive. If it was him, even if the other party was his great ancestor, if he did not know the situation, he really would not let the great ancestor lead them. This was because he did not know where the other party came from, what their thoughts were, or what their character was. What if they were sent to die? Or what would happen if the plan was wrong? Therefore, he would not hand his life over to others. He would completely control it himself. The Light Moon tribe was different. They had just met for the first time. Previously, they had been at daggers drawn. Now, in the blink of an eye, they had submitted to him. They really did not care about anything. You are really too decisive. This will cause the Light Moon tribe to be in danger, Yi Tianyun said in a low voice. No, you do not know. The reason why we trust you so much is mainly because you have the five-colored Emperor Dragon star Dharma forms. That means that you have courage, fearlessness, light, justice, selflessness. Only with these characters can you become the owner of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. The Ghana Patriarch said in a confident tone. There is such a saying? Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. It was really strange that there was such a saying as to choose characters. Perhaps he had been deified. Yi Tianyun himself felt that he had nothing to do with these things. He had to admit that he was quite brave. However, when it came to being selfless, this was really hard to say. At least, he would not do especially evil things. Yes, the ancestral teachings say so. As long as you have the five-colored Emperor Dragon's Dharma forms, you will definitely be such an existence. In that case, you are our trustworthy king. The Ghana Patriarch said solemnly. It was not only him. Everyone else thought the same. They really believed in their ancestral teachings. Ancestral teachings again. Yi Tianyun suddenly felt a little speechless. They said everything was ancestral teachings. They really believed it. Chapter 21:20. Yi Tianyun wanted to investigate the origin of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. He had owned the five-colored Emperor Dragon for a long time, but he did not know where it came from. There seemed to be information related to the five-colored Emperor Dragon here, so he definitely wanted to take a look. Yes, sir, please come this way. The Ghana Patriarch and the others got up and gestured for Yi Tianyun to come this way. Yi Tianyun followed. The Ghana Patriarch and several elders followed behind Yi Tianyun, like old servants, respectfully. The rest of the clan stayed outside and could not come in at will. When Mood Saibwa found out that Yi Tianyun had the five-colored Emperor Dragon Star Dharma, she was dumbfounded. She did not expect that the one who saved her was their king. This was simply too inconceivable. It felt like a dream. At the same time, Zhuyu was being chased back, cursing and swearing all the way. He did not dare to scold in front of Yi Tianyun, but he dared to say a few words behind his back. At this time, the news that Yi Tianyun had the five-colored Emperor Dragon Star Dharma came. When Zhuyu heard this, he was stunned at first, then he fainted. This was equivalent to offending their king. This was not a matter that could be resolved by confinement. He would be executed immediately. At that time, no matter how protective Zhuo Liang was, he would not be able to resist Yi Tianyun's orders. I regret it so much. This was what Zhuoyu was thinking before he fainted. Yi Tianyun did not think much about it. Zhuoyu was just a small character, and he could not be bothered to care about Zhuoyu's situation. A little beating would be enough. As for execution, he really did not think about it, especially now that Zhuo Liang was working so hard. Even kowtowing, he had no reason to pursue it. His attention was now on the stone tablet that introduced the five-colored Emperor Dragon. The more he learned, the more surprised he was. The five-colored Emperor Dragon had a great background. It was one of the strongest in this world. The five-colored Emperor Dragon shouldered the responsibility of protecting this world and resisting the attacks of the giant beasts. The two of them looked quite similar. One was a gigantic beast, the other a dragon. Logically speaking, this should be relatives. In reality, this was not the case. Giant beasts especially like to gnaw on beings with dragon bloodlines. It should be said that they liked to eat most of the more outstanding bloodlines. Thus, they had always been hostile to each other. As time passed, the two races gradually declined. No matter how strong an expert was, there would come a day when he would die. Along with the death of the great leaders, the war gradually calmed down, turning into the current situation. All the major races had them, and it could be said that 100 flowers were blooming. All of this was brought about by the five-colored emperor dragon. After fighting the giant beast to the death, it brought about a short period of peace. Of course, this was meaningless. Now, no one remembered the peace brought by the five-colored emperor dragon. Actually, it wasn't that they were too heartless. It was just that they were scattered far apart, and with the passage of time, they would slowly forget about this matter. Unless they were very old, they would not remember these things. Along the way, Tianyun had a general idea of what was going on. It was nothing more than the great achievements of the five-colored emperor dragon. If it wasn't for the five-colored emperor dragon, this world would not be so peaceful. Thus, the five-colored emperor dragon itself was the representative of light and justice. No wonder they all trusted Tianyun. To be able to get the five-colored emperor dragon star dharma, he must be the type of savior. Under such circumstances, they naturally had complete trust in him. So that's how it is. After reading it, Tianyun nodded thoughtfully. The information recorded here was not very detailed, but it allowed him to know what was going on. It was just that he was not very clear about the more detailed situation. For example, where the five-colored emperor dragon really came from, and where its hometown was, he really did not know. So, you are the descendants of a declined tribe? Tianyun turned his head to look at the Ghana tribe leader and said, "Other than the Shallow Moon tribe, are there any other tribes with similar bloodlines?" "No, but in a sense, there are a few tribes that are indeed related to the five-colored emperor dragon bloodline. After all, they all have dragon bloodlines," the Ghana tribe leader said. "You did not join forces. I guess they admit that they believe in the five-colored emperor dragon, but that does not mean they're willing to cooperate with you," Tianyun guessed. It was so dangerous here. The more people, the safer it was. That way, they could resist more giant beasts. Now that they did not cooperate, it meant that they did not recognize the Shallow Moon tribe. So what if the Shallow Moon tribe had the five-colored emperor dragon bloodline? That was almost negligible and meaningless. In this place, the one with the bigger fist was still the hard truth. Tribes that did not recognize them were probably not weaker than them. Naturally, they would not cooperate with them. They would definitely not be willing to follow the Ghana tribe leader, who didn't work hard here. Bloodline wasn't the only thing that could lead them. Unless the bloodline was very strong, that was another matter. That is true. The Ghana tribe leader said awkwardly, "They have their own choices. We cannot force them." "So, you've been living here all this time?" Tianyun changed the topic. "Yes, we have been living here for a long time. Originally, this place was not under the management of the giant divine beast, who knew that they would occupy it all at once, making it difficult for us to leave this area. Actually, it is not just us. Many other cultivators cannot leave this place." The Ghana tribe leader said angrily, "We can't leave even if we want to. We can't stay here peacefully either. Those giant beasts can smell our five-colored emperor dragon bloodline and will immediately come to devour us." The giant beasts' noses were very sensitive. They could still smell even the thinnest bloodline. Therefore, they would devour the five-colored emperor dragon bloodline first. As for the others, they would still devour them. If there were several bloodlines together, they would definitely devour the five-colored emperor dragon bloodline first. It is different now. The heavens have guided us here. He will definitely bring us out of this abyss of suffering. The Ghana tribe leader was excited. Back then, the five-colored emperor dragon could lead everyone away from being devoured by the giant beasts. Now, Tianyun could also bring them out of this abyss of suffering. "Well, I really can't bring you out of this abyss of suffering." Tianyun shook his head and told the truth. He had relied on the divine jade token to enter. If he wanted to bring this group of people away, he would have to defeat the giant divine beast first. Of course, he could still bring them away if he broke the verbal enforcement law. However, that would undoubtedly be equivalent to telling the giant divine beast that they were going to escape. When that time came, Tianyun did not know if he could stop them. Chapter 21:21. Tianyun's words stunned them. Didn't he say that the heir of the five-colored emperor dragon could lead them away? Wasn't it too decisive to say that they could not leave? Lord, this we can take it slowly. I know it's not easy to leave this place, but we can take it slowly. The Ghana patriarch did not know whether to laugh or cry. Wasn't it a bit demoralizing to refuse so readily? That's true, but I don't know anything about this place. I need to fully grasp the information in this area to make a good plan. Tianyun looked at them deeply and said, So, after you go out with me, you will completely obey my orders? That's for sure. Lord is the existence that will lead us. No matter what orders you give us, we will do it. The Ghana patriarch and the others looked serious. Their words were full of determination. They were not just saying it casually. Good. Since that's the case, give me some more time. First, I need to understand the overall map. Also, I need to understand the giant divine beast forces in all aspects, especially the giant divine beast cultivation. I need to know all these details. Tianyun would not fight a battle he was not confident in. Without understanding the details, it was really difficult to make a plan. He dared to kill the enemy before because he was alone, so he did not have to worry about this. Now it was different. With a group of experts and a giant divine beast at the Great Star Venerable level, it was different. This must be paid more attention, especially to the giant divine beasts. The giant divine beasts would certainly not let them go. They used to be enemies with the five-colored emperor dragon. Even if they let others leave, they would not let the Light Moon tribe leave. There's no problem with this map, but we don't really understand the giant divine beast forces. The Ghana patriarch and the others were a little embarrassed. No one could completely penetrate into the giant divine beast forces. It seems that this has to be done step by step. Coincidentally, I don't have much time. Tianyun frowned. He refused before mainly because he did not have much time. God knew when the Mu clan would send people over, so the plan here was not very easy to carry out. If they were busy here, what about his side? What he needed now was to improve his strength, not to save people. Saving them was not a problem. The Light Moon tribe had many strong warriors. If they could all be saved, their strength would increase greatly. However, the difficulty was not low. He would have to challenge the giant divine beast. But if the Mu clan came to kill him, he could only give up here and rush back to help. Compared to this side, his side was undoubtedly more important. We could take it slow. We have a lot of time. We've been trapped here for so many years. There's no need to rush. The Ghana patriarch hastily said. Tianyun glanced at them. There were only the patriarch and the two elders present. He then said, I know that you guys are definitely not in a hurry. There are some things that I have to say clearly. Otherwise, when it happens, you guys will think that I have abandoned you. I wasn't born in this world. I came from another world. As soon as these words came out, they immediately widened their eyes, and excited expressions appeared on their faces. They didn't expect Tianyun to come from the outside world. Didn't that mean he could bring them out? If Tianyun can come in, why can't he go out? Just not waiting for them to be happy, Tianyun added. Don't be too excited. I used a specific treasure to open a passage to come in. It just so happens that this treasure can only allow one person to pass through. Once I go back and forth, it will be completely broken. At that time, I won't even know the location of the giant divine beast domain, let alone save you. I came here to look for a divine medicine to break through. It's because my forces are facing a crisis. If I don't improve quickly, I'm afraid there will be danger. If I help here and suddenly there's a crisis, you know what I will do, right? Tianyun has made it very clear that once his forces are in danger, he will rush back immediately. When that time comes, he won't be able to come back. The treasure can only be used once. Unless Tianyun gets the divine jade tablet again, he won't be able to come back. After all, the location of the giant divine beast domain was a mysterious area. He didn't know where it was at all. This Tianyun's series of words made them all dumbfounded. They didn't expect there to be such a thing. They all thought that Tianyun had always lived here. who knew that he actually used other treasures to come in from the outside world. This made them incomparably shocked. They never thought that there would be such a situation. You all roughly understand what I said earlier, right? If I don't have any concerns, I can stay here all the time. But not now. There are a lot of things that need to be done. I can't take care of this side, Etienne said. They looked at each other and saw some shock in each other's eyes. So that's the case. No wonder Lord said there's no way to help us get out of the abyss of suffering. The Ghana patriarch and the others smiled bitterly. Previously, they thought that he could help them get out of the abyss of suffering. Now it looks like it will be somewhat difficult. Of course, you don't have to be so pessimistic. I'm only saying that I will leave quickly on the premise that something happens over there. If nothing happens over there, then I can stay here forever. I'm just telling you in advance. Otherwise, if I don't show up one day, you'll think that I ran away. Etienne was just making a statement in advance. I see. Thank you for the reminder, Lord. The Ghana patriarch and the others regained some smiles. No matter what, it was a good thing that they could continue to stay here. Then let's start with the plan. What was the plan you wanted to do before? Etienne asked. No. We're not in a hurry. Lord, you came here to look for the 1,000 Emperor flower, right? We'll accompany you to look for the 1,000 Emperor flower. The Ghana patriarch said, I'm in a hurry, but I'm not that anxious. Let's talk about your situation first. You seem to be in a hurry as well. Etienne saw that they were so enthusiastic and immediately felt a little embarrassed. Originally, he needed help to obtain the map. But now, he didn't need help to obtain the map. This really made him feel embarrassed. This is indeed a little urgent. How about this? After we finish this matter, we'll help Lord find the 1,000 Emperor flower. What do you think? The Ghana patriarch discussed with the other elders. No objections. Jia Feilong and the others nodded. Then what do you want to do? Etienne asked. Actually, it's related to the Heavenly Tiger tribe. The Ghana patriarch said solemnly, the Heavenly Tiger tribe stole our clan's treasure. We need to take it back in time. Chapter 21-22. No wonder the Light Moon tribe hated the Heavenly Tiger tribe so much. It turned out that their clan heirloom had been stolen. This was not a simple matter to solve. Your clan heirloom has been stolen. Isn't your defense a bit too lax? Etienne felt very speechless. The clan heirloom was such an important thing. Logically speaking, it should have been carried by the patriarch. Now that it had been stolen, it could only be said that the Ghana patriarch was the problem. This is indeed our fault for being too lax. The main thing is that our clan heirloom treasures are placed in a shrine. At first, the Heavenly Tiger tribe had a good relationship with us. The last time we came over to discuss some matters, they secretly stole our clan heirloom treasures. The Ghana patriarch's eyes were filled with anger. He had kindly welcomed the Heavenly Tiger tribe over, but who knew that they would stab him in the back? This is indeed inhumane. Speaking of which, what is your clan heirloom treasure? Isn't it too casual to directly place it in the shrine? Etienne asked doubtfully. It's roughly a rusty long sword. It's a weapon that our ancestors worshipped a long time ago. I heard that it was a weapon that was frequently used by a divine general under the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. Because it was rusty and stained with all kinds of blood, the long sword was severely corroded and could not be used in the end. It just so happened that our ancestors picked it up. That's why we placed it here to worship. It became our clan heirloom treasure. The Ghana patriarch explained. So that's how it is. To put it bluntly, this is more of a spiritual symbol treasure. It's not the kind of treasure that can be used. Etienne more or less understood what was going on. He thought it was the kind of peak treasure that could be used. Who knew that it was a kind of symbolic treasure? Yes, if it was the kind of treasure that could be used, we wouldn't have placed it here. We placed it here purely for the sake of worship. The altar above is used for worship. The Ghana patriarch pointed to the altar at the side. There happened to be a groove on the altar. It was the place where the long sword was inserted. It was just that it was empty now. There was nothing there. What's the point of snatching this from the Heavenly Tiger tribe? Etienne was curious. I'm not sure about that. The weapon can't be used at all. Unless they find a way to restore the weapon to its original state, there's no point in stealing it. The Ghana patriarch frowned. But even if there's a way, I'm afraid the price they'll have to pay is about the same as building a new weapon. I don't think they necessarily want the saber to be restored to its original form. Or rather, what's the point of this saber? Itianyan thought for a while and guessed. For example, there might be some special meaning to deceive this divine general's descendants or something else. I remember now, Zhuoliang suddenly shouted in shock. I remember that it was recorded in a certain book that even the divine generals of the five-colored emperor dragons seem to have corresponding ruins. That weapon might be able to open those ruins. There's such records? The Ghana patriarch asked doubtfully. There are such records, but the saber we worship might not necessarily be the key to open the ruins. It can only be said to be a guess, Zhuoliang explained. That's possible. No matter what, let's take action now to prevent them from transferring the weapon. Itianyan touched his chin. Okay, let's take action now. The Ghana patriarch nodded. This was not only related to their dignity, but more importantly, they couldn't lose the treasure. Immediately, the Ghana patriarch looked at them and said, "You too. Who will stay?" Naturally, they couldn't all move out. If they all moved out, there really wouldn't be a single expert to hold down the fort. The Ghana patriarch had previously asked Itianyan to help out because of this point. With one more person to help, they could feel at ease leaving an elder to stay. I'll stay. Zhuoliang volunteered to stay. My combat power is relatively low. You guys can go. Okay, then Elder Zhuo will stay. We'll go directly. The Ghana patriarch looked at Itianyan and said, "Sir, can we go now?" "Yes, let's go now." Itianyan nodded. Okay. After the Ghana patriarch finished explaining the matter, he immediately brought Itianyan and Jia Fai along to the Heavenly Tiger tribe. The Heavenly Tiger tribe was the same as the Shallow Moon tribe. They were both strong tribes. It was impossible for the two to fight head-on. It would only cause both sides to suffer, and the giant beast would take advantage of it. As for asking the Heavenly Tiger tribe to return it, it was impossible. The Ghana patriarch had already tried to communicate with them, but it was useless. Since the Heavenly Tiger tribe had done such a thing, they didn't intend to reconcile with the Shallow Moon tribe. Therefore, they could only sneak into the Heavenly Tiger tribe to take back their treasure. This plan was very difficult. Since the Heavenly Tiger tribe had stolen it, they would definitely carry it with them or use it to do something. It was impossible to take it back easily. This was different from the Shallow Moon tribe. The Shallow Moon tribe just simply left it there without any precautions. To put it bluntly, this weapon was just a piece of scrap iron. Who would think that it would be stolen? The Heavenly Tiger tribe is not far from us. They will definitely be on guard, so we plan to sneak in from the side. The Ghana patriarch explained. Sneak in from the side? Itianyan asked. Yes, I've been to the Heavenly Tiger tribe several times. I'm quite familiar with parts of the Heavenly Tiger tribe. I know how to break through and enter their world. The Ghana patriarch said solemnly, it's just that after sneaking in, it will be more troublesome to get the things we need. First of all, we don't know who has the weapon. It might be in the hands of the Heavenly Tiger tribe, or it might be in the hands of the other elders. However, let's sneak in and see the situation first. The Ghana patriarch's expression was solemn. This was not a matter that could be solved easily. Ghana patriarch, you're saying that the weapon might be in the hands of the Heavenly Tiger tribe, right? Itianyan said with narrowed eyes. Yes, what's the matter? The Ghana patriarch asked doubtfully. Then isn't it fine? We just need to kill our way in and capture the Heavenly Tiger tribe. There's no need to waste so much time. There's no need to sneak in or search. If we capture the Heavenly Tiger tribe, I don't believe that they won't return it to us. Itianyan's gaze was sharp. He did not want to waste any time. The Ghana patriarch and the others were stunned. They never thought that Itianyan would be so simple and crude. Chapter 21-23. Your Excellency, this is a good plan, but isn't it too difficult? Although the Heavenly Tiger tribe is weaker than us, it isn't too bad. If we charge in directly, won't we be surrounded by the enemy? The Ghana tribe's patriarch was shocked. He had never expected Itianyan to make such a suggestion. Wouldn't it put them in danger? No, the three of us can deal with the Heavenly Tiger tribe easily. Itianyan looked calm. It didn't seem like he was joking at all. He really wanted to do this. He wasn't acting rashly. His cultivation was close to the level of a Grand Star Venerable when he used his full power. Although he hadn't reached the level of a Grand Star Venerable yet, dealing with those Star Venerables was as easy as cutting melons and vegetables. However, even though he thought this way, it didn't mean the Ghana tribe's patriarch and the others thought the same. Isn't this too difficult? The Ghana tribe's patriarch was still in shock. Jiao Feilong, who was next to him, was also shocked, speechless. If they followed Yi Tianyun's plan, wouldn't the plan they had painstakingly thought up be in vain? Breaking into the inner world and sneaking in and waiting for an opportunity? They didn't need to do that at all. They could charge through the front gate directly. This was domineering enough. Didn't you say you would follow my orders? You won't listen to me now? Yi Tianyun glanced at them calmly. Were they talking nonsense? No, that's impossible. We just felt that the plan was different from what we had imagined. If Your Excellency wants to do this, we will obey unconditionally. The Ghana tribe's patriarch and the others became serious. They completely obeyed Yi Tianyun's orders. Very well, then we will break through the front gate now. You guys guard me. I will be the main attacker. Yi Tianyun ordered. No problem. The Ghana tribe's patriarch and the others were still worried. However, since Yi Tianyun had said so, they could only obey. Led by the Ghana tribe's patriarch, they quickly reached the entrance of the Heavenly Tiger tribe. It was still a forest. The layout was similar to that of the Light Moon tribe. They both needed to enter through the teleportation formation. It was impossible to build it outside. We're here. This is the place. It's basically impossible to enter through the teleportation array. They know that we're not on their side, so they won't open this door. The Ghana patriarch's eyes flashed. However, I can forcefully break the transmission array's mechanism and make it open to us. All right, let the Ghana tribe leader do it, Yi Tianyun said. The Ghana patriarch nodded and quickly found the teleportation array and began to modify it. His level is quite high, reaching 4th level Star Rune Master, which is 1 level higher than Yi Tianyun. Under his efforts, the teleportation formation quickly began to be altered. It was difficult, but without interference, it could still be broken. After a short while, the teleportation formation was completely modified. The Ghana tribe's patriarch stood up hurriedly and said, "It's done. Let's go in quickly. Otherwise, if they sense us, they will cut off the transmission point there. By then, the transmission array here will lose its effect." Yi Tianyun nodded and stepped into the transmission array. Then, the 3 of them quickly disappeared. They were teleported into the Heavenly Tiger tribe. In the next second, they appeared inside the Heavenly Tiger tribe. As soon as they appeared, the Heavenly Tiger tribe's guards recognized them and said sternly, "It's the Ghana tribe's patriarch." The guards were stunned. They hadn't expected that the Ghana tribe's patriarch would attack them. Moreover, he had broken the transmission array, which they hadn't sensed at all. They had to admit that the Ghana tribe's patriarch was quite capable. Get lost. The Ghana tribe's patriarch flew into a rage when he saw them. He swung his hand and sent the guards flying. They were all heavily injured and fainted. Although the guards were Star Venerables, how could they bear the anger of a Star Venerable? After sending the guards flying, the Ghana tribe's patriarch quickly started to modify the transmission array to prevent it from being cut off. This was their escape route, so he obviously had to preserve it. Otherwise, if it was cut off, it would be difficult for them to leave easily. Ghana tribe's patriarch, do you plan to use violence to deal with it? Or do you plan to be a bit more gentle? Yi Tianyun asked. It's better not to use violence. Although the Heavenly Tiger tribe did this, they didn't have any conflict with us. Moreover, we still have a bloodline connection with them. The Ghana tribe's patriarch still had some hope for the Heavenly Tiger tribe, so he didn't use violence. Fine, we don't have to go through so much trouble. We will go in directly. Unless they are blind and try to stop us, they will obediently send us out. Yi Tianyun raised his foot and walked forward. The Ghana tribe's patriarch took a look at the transmission array and could only follow him quickly. Since Yi Tianyun had already said so, they could only follow him. As they went deeper, they were once again seen by the guards. When they recognized the Ghana tribe's patriarch and his people, they shouted loudly, "Hurry up! Inform the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's patriarch. The Ghana tribe's patriarch and his people have come in by force. Etionyun didn't pay attention to their message. Instead, he took several steps forward and slapped the guard with the back of his hand. He knocked the guard out. After following them out of the tunnel, many figures quickly flew over from the front. They were the elders of the Heavenly Tiger Tribe. They flew over as soon as they got the news. They had planned this in advance. If anything dangerous happened, they would fly over immediately to protect the tribe. However, they had designed it purely to protect the giant beasts. Now, it was their former ally who had come over. Ghana tribe's patriarch. What do you mean by barging into the Heavenly Tiger Tribe? A strong man with tiger tattoos all over his body fell from the air. Judging by his aura, he should be the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's patriarch. There were two elders behind him, and both of them were star venerables. In terms of strong people, they weren't much weaker than the Light Moon Tribe. Heavenly Tiger Tribe's patriarch. Why are you asking when you already know the answer? We came here to take back the Divine General's Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife. The Ghana tribe's patriarch said in a stern voice, "It belongs to us. Why did you take it away? What a joke. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife has always been ours, but you took it for yourself. We're just returning it to its rightful owner." The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's patriarch said in a deep voice, "If you leave now, I won't hold you responsible for barging into the Heavenly Tiger Tribe today. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." Only 3 people came in. How daring. Ghana tribe's patriarch, as far as I know, you aren't such a reckless person. Today is really different. Chapter 21-24. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch saw the Ghana Patriarch bring 2 people in, one of whom was an unfamiliar face. This didn't matter. The main thing was that he felt it was a bit strange. Logically speaking, the Ghana Patriarch would definitely have all kinds of rigorous plans. It was definitely a sneak attack, not a frontal attack. A frontal attack was undoubtedly the behavior of a fool. It was equivalent to suicide. You don't need to care about this. Hurry up and take out the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber. Our Shallow Moon tribe won't pursue any responsibility. The Ghana Patriarch wasn't very angry because the Heavenly Tiger Tribe didn't cause any harm to them. The Heavenly Tiger Tribe only stole the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber and didn't do anything else. They also didn't harm the Shallow Moon Tribe's clansmen. Therefore, they didn't completely go berserk. If many clansmen died, then he wouldn't be speaking so politely here. I said, the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber belongs to our Heavenly Tiger Tribe. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber belongs to Azure Tiger Divine General. We have Azure Tiger Divine General's bloodline, so it naturally belongs to us. The Heaven Tiger Patriarch said solemnly, "You occupied it for so long. It's already very good that we don't pursue responsibility." What a joke. So what if it's Azure Tiger Divine General? He's essentially Lord Five-Colored Monarch Dragon's subordinate. He also belongs to us. The Ghana Patriarch said sternly. Bullshit. The Heaven Tiger Patriarch couldn't help cursing. He said angrily, Azure Tiger Divine General is indeed Five-Colored Monarch Dragon subordinate. But Azure Tiger Divine General is our ancestor. Shouldn't our ancestors' belongings be safeguarded by us? The Heaven Tiger Patriarch spoke eloquently. There really was such a thing. Even so, you just didn't ask and directly stole the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber? Is the relationship between our 2 tribes that bad? The Ghana Patriarch was extremely dissatisfied. What a joke. If we really asked, would you get to us? Don't you know who this Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber belongs to? You definitely know. It's just that you don't want to return it to us. You plan to keep it as your tribe's protection treasure. The Heaven Tiger Patriarch said sternly. The Ghana Patriarch was silent. He really didn't want to return it to them. This had always been the symbol of their Shallow Moon tribe. How could he give it to the Heavenly Tiger Tribe? Can't say anything. I told you that it was impossible for you to give it to us. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch said sternly. But why did you wait so long before doing this? Is there some kind of secret? Etionyun suddenly interrupted and asked, Who are you? I'm talking to the chief of the Ghana tribe. What are you interrupting for? Sky Tiger Lord was extremely unhappy Being interrupted by Yun, he naturally felt extremely unhappy. This was a conversation between Lord S. How could he feel comfortable being interrupted by a nameless brat? He did not know who Yun was, but he was sure that it was not important. After all, the Ghana tribe leader was already the tribe leader. Who else could surpass him? Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, don't be rude to His Excellency. Ghana Patriarch shouted. My lord? You actually addressed him as lord? Sky Tiger Patriarch looked at Yun in shock. After sizing him up, he asked doubtfully, Patriarch Jana, what do you mean? Why did you call him lord? Could it be that he came from some tribe? But even if he came from another tribe, his status would at most be similar to yours. Why would you call him lord? Could it be that your shallow moon tribe has already defected to another tribe? How is that possible? He is the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon. Even you have to address him as lord. Ghana Patriarch shouted. Five-colored emperor dragon's inheritor? Are you joking with me? I'm the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon. Sky Tiger Patriarch laughed loudly. He felt that the news was very unbelievable. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun did not waste any more words. The six-colored emperor dragon's star Dharma idol erupted. A terrifying pressure immediately enveloped the entire area. Sky Tiger Patriarch, who had just mocked Yun, was immediately stunned. It's really the five-colored emperor dragon's inheritor. Not to mention him. Even the others were stunned. However, they did not choose to kneel down. They were not like the Ghana Patriarch and the others. They only belonged to the side branches. They respected the five-colored emperor dragon very much, but not to the extent of directly kneeling down. After all, for so many years, they only worshipped their ancestors and not the five-colored emperor dragon. Although they did not mainly worship the five-colored emperor dragon, when the inheritor actually appeared, they were still stunned. I wonder if I can mediate the relationship between your two tribes. Yun's expression was indifferent. He hoped that the relationship between the two tribes could be easily resolved. There was no need to fight or force anything. No, even if you have the five-colored emperor dragon's bloodline, it has nothing to do with us. We only worship Lord Green Tiger, Divine General. Sky Tiger Patriarch quickly calmed down and directly rejected Yun's proposal. Oh, looks like I can only use force. Yun stepped forward. It seemed that he could only choose to use force in the end. Lord, even if you are the five-colored emperor dragon's inheritor, you can't be so forceful. This originally belonged to us. Is there a problem with us taking it back? Sky Tiger Patriarch was very dissatisfied. If you really want to use force, we can only accompany you to the end. As long as you can defeat us, we will hand over the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber with both hands. Sky Tiger Patriarch's tone softened. He even used the word Lord for Yun, indicating that he still had a certain level of respect. Defeat you? Yun swept a glance and said indifferently, Can we start now? Jana Patriarch and the rest were stunned. They did not think that he would really use force. Sure, then let us see exactly what kind of ability the inheritor of the five-colored emperor dragon has. The eyes of the Sky Tiger clan leader turned cold. Since the other party wanted to use force, then they would accompany him at any time. If he wanted them to submit, then he must have absolute power. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun's aura instantly exploded. The six-colored emperor dragon's star idol soared into the sky. At the same time, crazy mode and so on smashed out. If he wanted to suppress them, then he had to suppress them with full force. Only then could he make them completely submit. Since Sky Tiger Tribe was a branch, then they were definitely on the same side. He had to take them in and definitely could not let them go. After exploding out again, Yun directly pounced forward. His huge body pressed down heavily towards Sky Tiger Patriarch. It's not that simple. Sky Tiger Patriarch roared and transformed into a huge tiger. Above his head, 20 cubic meters of star power appeared. But as soon as the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch's star power erupted, Yun immediately devoured a large chunk of it. Not only did the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch not become stronger, but Yun also became stronger. Suppress. Chapter 21-25. After Tianyun erupted, he suppressed the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's chief until he could not move. Every time the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's chief tried to get up, he was suppressed by Tianyun and could not move. I'm asking you, will you submit or not? Tianyun's words were simple and crude. If he wanted to use force, he would use force. He suppressed the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's chief until he could not breathe. I don't accept this. The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's chief roared furiously. He tried to get up, but he could not get up no matter how hard he tried. The two elders beside him quickly turned into the true form of the white tiger and pounced at Tianyun. They did not want to watch their tribe's chief get suppressed. Hence, they both erupted with power and tried to send Tianyun flying. Don't even think about it. The Ghana tribe's chief and the others naturally would not stand by and watch. When they were about to turn into their true form, Tianyun swung his tail and sent the two elders flying. That's all you got? You're still too weak. Tianyun said coldly as he looked down at them from the sky. The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's clansmen were stunned. Their tribe's chief was being stepped on by Tianyun, and the two elders were sent flying. Their power was not worth mentioning at all. The Ghana tribe's chief, who wanted to help, froze on the spot. It looked like they did not need help at all. Tianyun could handle it. No wonder the Lord said to charge in from a main gate. Who can stop him with such power? The Ghana tribe's chief and the others were dumbfounded. They finally understood what Tianyun meant. Tianyun could really suppress the Heavenly Tiger tribe. His power far surpassed their level. He was close to the level of a great star venerable. If Elder Zhuo were to see this, he would realize that the previous test of strength was a bit overconfident. Even if he isn't the successor of the five-colored Emperor Dragon, he still possesses great strength. Jia Feilong smiled wryly. When he thought of what they had done earlier, he blushed. It was a joke to test an expert who was much stronger than them. Do you submit or not? Tianyun said harshly. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch gritted his teeth, unable to exert any strength at all. However, even if he used his full strength, he still wouldn't be able to defeat Tianyun. Because the gap between them was clear, he did not use all of his strength. He believed that Tianyun did not use all of his strength either. Moreover, Tianyun was the inheritor of the five-colored Emperor Dragon. There was no need for him to fight to the death. I'm willing to submit. In the end, the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch still chose to submit. Tianyun had displayed powerful strength, so how could he not submit? As mentioned before, as long as you defeat them, they will choose to submit. Now that they had been easily defeated, they had no choice but to submit. After submitting, the Heavenly Tiger Clan's clan chief returned to his original appearance, a depressed expression on his face. He had thought that he could defeat the five-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. Now, it seemed that they were not on the same level at all. The other two elders flew over once more. They were simply flung out and didn't suffer any serious injuries. Tianyun originally wouldn't be too harsh on them. He just simply flung them out. The Ghana chief and the rest also flew over. They didn't think that it would end so quickly. In just a few moments, it was over. There really wasn't any pressure at all. It was like it had just started and it ended. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, can you hand over the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade now? The Ghana chief said solemnly. Now that they could finally ask for the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade back, Heavenly Tiger Patriarch shouldn't refuse, right? No. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch gritted his teeth and still refused. No. The Ghana chief frowned and said, could it be that Heavenly Tiger Patriarch? Are you going to go back on your words? Before this, we already agreed that as long as we win, we will hand over the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade. No, I won't hand it over. You could take away other things. Only the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade can't be given to you. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch still refused. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, it seems like we have to take it by force. The Ghana chief and the rest were somewhat angry. After talking for so long, they were still unwilling to hand it over. Could it be that they really had to force it? Wait a moment. Tianyun extended his hand to signal the Ghana chief and the rest not to be impulsive. He stared at the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and said solemnly, "Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, I think you are definitely not the kind of person who goes back on his words. Could it be that there is something difficult to say?" Etienne smelled an unusual aura. After thinking about it carefully, the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade should have been snatched away long ago. However, they stole it so late at night. It was somewhat unnatural. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch did not explain and chose to keep his mouth shut. At this time, the Ghana chief and the rest also felt an unusual aura, as if there really was such a thing. They had always been brother tribes, so they wouldn't cause any trouble. Everything was very sudden. No one knew what had happened, and the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade was stolen. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, is there really something? The Ghana chief and the rest quickly walked over and stared at the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and said, "If there's anything, tell us. Don't hide it yourself. All along, our two tribes have been supporting each other. Could it be that you sense something from the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade?" "That's right, Heavenly Tiger Patriarch. We used to drink together often." "Could it be that this friendship is broken so easily?" Jia Filong also came over and said. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch was still unwilling to say. He still braced himself and refused to say a single word. "Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, if you don't say it, then I'll forcefully take away the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade." Etienne squinted at him from the side, wanting to see something from the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch's face. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch knew that if Etienne forcefully took it away, they would definitely not be able to defend it. "Heavenly Tiger Patriarch, it's better to say it out. We believe that with Lord here, we will definitely be able to defend it." The elder at the side sighed and signaled the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch to speak. "If I hand it over to you, you will be in danger." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch said solemnly, "This Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade has a strange phenomenon. I'll bring you over." They looked at each other and followed the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch over. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch brought them to the Divine Temple. This was the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's Divine Temple. There were all kinds of patterns carved inside. Among them, the pattern of the five-colored Emperor Dragon was the most conspicuous. It was placed in the center area. This meant that they were also extremely respectful to the five-colored Emperor Dragon. As the descendants of Divine General Azure Tiger, they would definitely uphold the heavy responsibility of guarding. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade was placed in the center area, but now it was emitting a faint luster. It looked very strange. I heard the ancestors say that once the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade emits this kind of light, it means that there will be danger. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch said solemnly. Chapter 21-26. Danger? What danger? Jia tribe leader and the rest asked anxiously. The Long Moon Green Dragon Saber may not have much power left, but it still has its own spirituality. It has killed countless giant beasts, so it will naturally be stained with the blood of the giant beasts. Through the blood, it can sense the invasion of the giant beasts. Sky Tiger tribe leader said. This means that the giant beasts are likely to attack. Actually, the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber has another ability, which is to open the war treasure vault of our ancestors. There's a series of arrays inside that can be used to deal with the giant beasts, but we don't know how to open it, and we don't know where it is. From this light, it is very likely that the giant beasts are coming for the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber. They want to take the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber, open the war treasure vault, and use our ancestors' treasures to deal with us. Sky Tiger tribe leader said seriously. So if you continue to hold on to the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber, you will definitely be attacked. Sky Tiger tribe, as the descendants of Green Tiger Divine General, naturally has to shoulder the responsibility of protecting the five-colored Dragon Emperor bloodline. But now that you have found out, I thought that we would be able to hold on, Sky Tiger tribe leader sighed deeply. He thought that the plan was perfect. This way, Sky Tiger tribe would be able to fight against the giant beasts alone. This, Jia tribe leader and the rest looked at each other and saw shame in each other's eyes. They thought that Sky Tiger tribe leader really came back with the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber, but his real purpose was to protect Sky Moon Tribe. Sky Tiger Tribe leader, we are really ashamed. We thought that you, Jia Tribe leader, and the rest were filled with regret. They thought that Sky Tiger Tribe leader stole the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber, but who knew that he was protecting them? They had never thought of this and mistakenly thought that Sky Tiger Tribe leader had betrayed them. Luckily, they did not go on a killing spree and fight Sky Tiger Tribe leader. Otherwise, they would really regret it. You don't have to say these words of regret. Now, let's talk about how to solve this problem. Yun said seriously. It seems that danger is getting closer. Yun pointed at the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber in front. At this moment, the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber was glaring light, which meant that something serious was about to happen. If they were still nagging, then there would be no way to solve the problem. That's right, we should resolve this matter immediately. The Jiana tribe's patriarch's face turned serious, and he said solemnly, "Now, let's gather our two tribes together. That way, we can better resist the giant beast's attack." No, if we gather together, then wouldn't both our families be in danger? The Sky Tiger tribe leader immediately rejected this suggestion and said, "Let us fight them to the death. We'll kill as many as we can. Haven't you considered transferring the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber?" Yun suggested. "Yes, but it's too dangerous. We have a barrier here, which makes it difficult for the giant beast to find us. If we bring the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber out, it's equivalent to telling the giant beast that the target is here. This way, we'll die even faster." The Sky Tiger tribe leader shook his head and said, "The best way is to leave it here. We'll fight them to the death. When we really can't hold on any longer, we'll move the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber out and let the other tribes continue to protect it. After all, this is our responsibility. Since we're the guardian generals, we should carry out our duty to the end." The Sky Tiger tribe leader's face glowed faintly. His fearless gaze showed that he was not afraid of any giant beast or life or death. Yun was moved. He thought that he would encounter a traitor, but now it seemed that this was not the case. Their thoughts were so noble. It seemed that they were really carrying out their duty to protect the tribe. They even hid it from a Jiana tribe leader and made him misunderstand that they were stealing the treasure. This was because they knew that the Jiana tribe leader and the rest would definitely join the battle after knowing the truth. That was why they did not tell the Jiana tribe leader and chose this method. It seemed like they were sacrificing themselves to protect the Shallow Moon tribe from being attacked. However, after knowing the truth, it would be a form of harm to the Jiana tribe leader and the rest. I never thought that I would see such a responsibility here. Yun thought that they were a bunch of loose sand. Now, it seemed that they were very united and were willing to sacrifice themselves at any time. He admired such people the most. If he could recruit them as his subordinates, they would be absolutely loyal. This was similar to the Five-Color God tribe. They were all very loyal subordinates. If he recruited them, there would not be too much resistance. No matter what happened, they would not run away. Instead, they would persevere until the end. This was what he needed. He did not want people who would be easily swayed when they encounter danger. Nonsense. This is nonsense. Do you think that we will be able to live on peacefully if you do this? The Jiana tribe leader and the rest were heartbroken. After knowing the truth, they felt extremely sad. When they thought of their previous attitude, they felt uneasy. We had no choice but to do this. The Sky Tiger tribe leader smiled bitterly. Didn't you see through it? If it was before, you would definitely not do this. By the time you made a detailed plan or made all kinds of arrangements, the giant beasts would have attacked. The Jiana tribe leader and the rest could not refute. Before Yun went, they had been discussing the plan. For example, what to do after infiltrating and how to arrange all kinds of things. These were all very detailed plans. However, Yun's arrival pushed their plans forward. Otherwise, even if the giant beast came to destroy the Sky Tiger tribe, they would not have attacked. Then, is there no other way to hide the Changyue Azure Dragon Saber's attractive force? Yun was thinking about how to solve this problem. He cannot just sit around and wait for death, right? Not at the moment. The Sky Tiger tribe leader shook his head. All right then, I will take the Changhua Azure Dragon Saber away later, Etianyan said in a deep voice. What? You will take the Changhua Azure Dragon Saber away? The Sky Tiger tribe leader was shocked. If that is the case, you will definitely become a target. A group of giant beasts will chase after you. No, if I really encounter such a situation, I will leave this place. Etianyan looked at the Jiana tribe leader and said, perhaps this is the last solution. This. The Jiana tribe leader and Jia Filong knew what the solution was. As long as Etianyan left, the giant beast would not be able to sense his aura. Naturally, the problem would be solved. Chapter 21-27. Etianyan actually did not want to use this method. He did not want to return empty-handed. Who knew what kind of situation he would run into? But wouldn't it be too heartless to just leave it like this? Especially in the future, when he still had a chance to return. The Divine Jade Tablet could not be purchased from the shop, but it might drop from killing enemies in the future. Thus, it was important to protect this place. Of course, everything was uncertain. As long as it was not a giant divine beast that came, he believed that he could fight against all beasts. Don't worry, I won't do this if I have no other choice. Etianyan smiled faintly. I want to see how many beasts there are here. I'll kill as many as they come. Killing these beasts could also earn him a shocking amount of star energy. After all, even if he obtained the Emperor Flower, he still needed a shocking amount of star energy to increase his cultivation. Speaking of which, what do you mean by leaving this place? The Sky Tiger tribe leader was dumbfounded. He did not know what Etianyan and the others were talking about. The Ghana tribe leader then explained Etianyan's situation. When the Sky Tiger tribe leader heard this, he was extremely shocked. There's such a treasure? The Sky Tiger tribe leader was shocked. Although this was their route, they had to find a way to leave when faced with the suppression of the giant divine beasts. Unfortunately, they could not find a way to leave, so they could only stay here. Now that Etianyan had come from the outside and used such a special treasure, the Sky Tiger tribe leader was truly shocked. More or less, so don't worry. If I leave, I'll think of a way to find a similar treasure in the future. It would be great if I knew the location of this place. We have no idea where the giant divine beast territory is from the outside. Etianyan shook his head. It was not that he did not want to come, but he did not know the location. They looked at each other. This was the only method they could use for now. They could solve the problem of the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade and save the Sky Tiger tribe. If possible, the Sky Tiger tribe definitely did not want to die. No one wanted to die, but at this critical moment, they could only choose to sacrifice. They did not want to give away the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber. Although it seemed to have solved the problem, if the treasure vault was taken by them, they would die even more miserably. Looks like that's the only way. But won't you be going back empty-handed? The Ghana patriarch knew what Etianyan was looking for and how important it was to Etianyan. This is very important to me, but I can't just watch you guys fall into danger, right? Etianyan shrugged. This was the only choice he had. If that's the case, they looked at each other. The Ghana chief sighed and said, "How about this, sir? Tell us the divine medicine you need. If you really leave, we will help you find it. The next time you have a way to come over, we will give it to you immediately." All right, thank you very much. Etianyan's eyes lit up. This was indeed a good idea. It would save him a lot of trouble. Sir, there's no need to thank us. We should be the ones thanking you. How could they bear this gratitude? If Etianyan helped them solve this problem, he would be the savior of their two tribes. What was the big deal about finding the divine medicine? Ding successfully accepted the mission to rescue the Sky Tiger tribe and the Light Moon tribe. Reward: 10 million star energy and 1 super teleportation stone. Allows one to travel to any location. Ignores all restrictions. Can only be used 10 times. The mission that popped up made Etianyan's eyes light up. The main thing was that he could obtain a special tool. The super teleportation stone could ignore all restrictions and teleport. This was an absolute escape tool. However, he could only obtain it after completing the mission. Let's not be pretentious. I'll go take the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber and see what's going on. If possible, I don't want to leave in such a hurry. Etianyan really did not want to waste so much time. Although it was not urgent, it was always good to increase his strength. Of course, he could obtain the super teleportation stone after dealing with the two tribes and come over directly. But he had only just obtained it, and he could not even set the coordinates. Immediately, Etionyan came in front of Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber and reached out to grab the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber. As soon as he grabbed the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, a surge of power surged from his body and poured into the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber. As his power poured in, the rust on the surface of the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber began to disappear. Oh my God, what am I seeing? The rust on the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber is starting to disappear. They were all dumbfounded. They had been trying to get rid of the rust for a long time. This kind of rust was a curse, and it was not something that could be scraped off easily. Now that Etionyan had just grabbed it, he was already cleaning the rust. It was incredible. Etionyan also felt that it was incredible. He could clearly feel the energy released by the six-colored Emperor Dragon, constantly purifying the rust on the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber. It can have such an effect. Etionyan stared at the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber in his hand. The Long Moon Green Dragon Saber was also trembling and emitting a cheerful sound, as if it would come back to life at any time. As time passed, the rust on the saber quickly disappeared, revealing the true appearance of the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber. There was a huge azure dragon wrapped around the blade, as if it would rush out of the saber at any time. The sharp blade could easily cut through space, and with a slight vibration, it could tear a small hole in space. It actually returned to its original state. Etionyan held the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber tightly. The rust on it completely disappeared, and it returned to its original appearance. Unfortunately, its quality had dropped significantly. It was now only at the late-stage galaxy grade, but it was still a top-notch weapon. The Long Moon Green Dragon Saber had been corroded for so many years, yet it still had such an effect. It was already amazing. Most importantly, it gave Etionyan the feeling that the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber was his own weapon. Is this really divine General Green Tiger's weapon? Etionyan looked at the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber. Logically speaking, it should be carved with a green tiger. This is divine General Green Tiger's weapon, but it was forged by the five-colored Emperor Dragon for divine General Green Tiger. The Sky Tiger Patriarch looked at the weapon in a daze. They were all shocked by the restored Long Moon Green Dragon Saber, as if they were witnessing the glory of the Long Moon Green Dragon Saber again. So that's how it is. Etionyan finally understood why this happened. This Long Moon Green Dragon Saber was forged by the five-colored Emperor Dragon, so it contained the five-colored Emperor Dragon's energy. After he activated it, it could unleash its true power. Chapter 21-28. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife had been restored to its original state, which meant it could be used again. Most importantly, the rust on it, which was the blood of the giant beasts, could be removed. After all the blood was removed, the giant beasts would not be able to find them through the blood. In this way, they would be able to avoid a series of dangerous problems. That's it. Etionyan held the Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife tightly and shook it slightly. The light it emitted disappeared, and the knife went back to its original state. How could the giant beasts find them without sensing them? It's really done. They were all dumbfounded. The previous plan, the tragic words, and the words about sacrificing themselves had all been omitted. They basically did not need to say anything. Now we don't even need to fight, do we? Etionyan turned around and said to them with a smile, "Yes, we cut off all communication. Of course, they can't find the Long Moon Azure Dragon Knife." They were all relieved. Finally, they had solved a dangerous problem. Etionyan nodded. It should be easy to solve the problem. As soon as he finished speaking, the whole world started to shake, as if something was hitting it crazily. The giant beasts are attacking. The chieftain of the Heavenly Tiger tribe and the others turned pale. They had thought the problem was solved, but the giant beasts had already reached the outside world. Etionyan sensed the horrible situation outside immediately. Many giant beasts were hitting the ground crazily. A giant pit had been created in the ground. The beasts had reached the periphery of the small world. Fortunately, the periphery of the small world was protected by a strong tactical formation. Otherwise, it would have been broken. But the current situation was not optimistic. A group of giant beasts was hitting the place crazily. It would collapse at any moment. Etianyun sensed the situation of the giant beasts outside with a simple glance. By rough estimation, there were at least 5-star venerable level giant beasts and dozens of star lord level giant beasts. As for beasts of other cultivations, they were densely packed. They almost occupied the whole area. Great. Leave his place to us. You move quickly. Etianyun was holding the long moon azure dragon knife. His eyes were cold, full of killing intent. Let's see how strong these giant beasts are. I barely killed any giant beasts there. Sir, shouldn't we retreat? Now that the effects of the long moon azure dragon saber had been dispelled, it would be difficult for them to find him. As long as we retreat quickly, they won't be able to catch up to us. Heavenly Tiger Lord and the others were a little confused. Although they had to give up this place, it was better than fighting them to the death. Based on the current situation, do you think that the small world will be able to last until all of you evacuate? Etianyun looked at them indifferently. They were all startled. What he said was true. They still had a lot of things that they hadn't evacuated. Normally, they could just move them out of the small world. Not now. The giant beasts were already outside, so they could only choose to give up on many things. However, there were still many things that needed to be evacuated. According to the current situation, they wouldn't be able to hold on for too long. Under the impact of so many giant beasts, it would soon collapse. You guys evacuate. I'll stand guard outside. Etianyun's eyes flashed. To him, this wasn't just a matter of star energy, but also a chance to test out the power of the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade. Sir, we'll go with you. The Ghana Patriarch and the others stood up, wanting to go with Etianyun. There's no need. Just help us evacuate. The faster, the better. Etianyun gestured for them to stop. Without another word, he turned around and flew outside. The Ghana Patriarch and the others paused, then gritted their teeth and said, "Help us evacuate first. We'll go out and take a look later." All right. The Heavenly Tiger Lord and the others didn't waste any more time. In the face of danger, they had to evacuate as quickly as possible. Following that, they quickly began to evacuate their belongings and move their clansmen. Although they had extra teleportation arrays, moving a large number of clansmen could easily attract giant beasts. Thus, they needed powerhouses to protect them. While they were evacuating, Etianyun flew out of the small world. At this time, the small world was already filled with giant beasts. At a glance, there were beasts of all levels and types. The powerful giant beasts had huge bodies that were like small mountains. When Etianyun first appeared, the giant beasts immediately noticed him. Growl! A giant tiger pounced on him. The power of a Star Lord pressed down. They didn't use any star power, but their giant bodies were strong enough to send everything flying. Even without the support of star power, their fighting prowess was off the charts. Die! Etianyun turned the long moon azure dragon saber in his hand and slashed it down. He didn't use much strength. The sharp long moon azure dragon saber cut the giant tiger in half. He killed it easily. It's so sharp. Etianyun's eyes lit up. As expected of the divine weapon that followed the divine General Green Tiger, it was too easy for him to kill giant beasts. As the saber rose and fell, a giant beast was killed easily. No matter how hard the beast's shell or giant body was, it couldn't resist his saber. Kill him. Snatch the long moon azure dragon saber. The giant beasts at the star venerable level in the front started to speak in the human language. They ordered their subordinates to jump on Etianyun. You want to kill me? You are too naive. The long moon azure dragon saber in Etianyun's hand buzzed. He laughed heartily and said, "You want to drink blood? Since you have come back to this world, I will let you drink their blood." Then Etianyun exerted all of his power. 30 cubic meters of star power overlapped and blossomed above his head. The 5-color Emperor Dragon's figure also soared up. Azure Dragon Slash. Yun held the saber with both hands and slashed it down heavily. A giant, six-color saber radiance slashed down vertically. A large number of giant beasts in front of him were instantly cut in half. The long moon Azure Dragon saber and the six-color Emperor Dragon's power in his body were a perfect match. It brought out the strongest effect. A large number of beasts died under one slash. Another slash killed another group of giant beasts. The dreadful power scared the giant beasts at the star venerable level in front of him and made them step back. They were all frightened by this power. They hadn't expected the human in front of them to have such a great power. Kill. They didn't retreat. Instead, they continued to order their subordinates to charge at Etianyan. They wanted to exhaust him to death. Bring it on. Etianyan laughed. The long moon Azure Dragon saber in his hand shone with a dazzling six-color divine light. Every time he raised the saber, a large number of giant beasts would be killed. Chapter 21-29. The Sky Tiger Patriarch and the rest quickly evacuated their clansmen. But not long after, they could no longer feel any movement. The giant beasts were no longer crazily attacking the barrier. In fact, there was no movement at all. What happened? Were the giant beasts lured away by Lord Etion? The Ghana Patriarch and the rest were puzzled. They did not know what had happened. In just a short while, they could no longer feel the giant beasts attacking the barrier. Now, they were moving very quickly. Not all of their clansmen had been evacuated, but at least half of them had been evacuated. They were very proficient in the area of teleportation. They had practiced it countless times. They were always on guard against the giant beast attacks. Once the giant beasts attacked, they would immediately escape. Only by practicing many times would they be able to survive in such a critical moment. Otherwise, when the time came, they would be flustered and suffer countless casualties. Should we send someone up to take a look? The Sky Tiger Patriarch suggested. No need. We will go up and help. You guys continue to evacuate. There aren't many clansmen left. Even if the small world is breached, we can easily evacuate. The Ghana Patriarch brought Jia Fai along and flew out of the small world. He wanted to see how Etianyan was doing. It was possible that the beasts had really been lured away by Etianyan. The Sky Tiger Patriarch thought about it and did not stop them. He continued to evacuate. When the Ghana Patriarch and the rest arrived at the world above, the scene that greeted their eyes stunned them. The entire ground was dyed red with blood. Huge corpses lay on the ground. Even the sky was raining blood. It was extremely horrifying. When they saw the countless corpses, their hearts trembled. They knew how strong these giant beasts were. Now that they were all chopped into two, it was extremely shocking. At the same time, they saw a figure standing on top of a mountain of corpses. This person was none other than Etianyan, who had just killed his way out. Now, he held the long moon Azure Dragon saber and stood there. There was not a single drop of blood on his body. Even the saber in his hand was not stained with a single drop of blood. On the other hand, the surroundings were filled with blood. Not a single giant beast was standing. It was truly a horrifying sight. Sir, you killed all these giant beasts? The Ghana tribe leader and the others trembled in their hearts. They had thought that Etianyan had come out to help, or that he had been forced to flee in all directions. But now, it seemed that he hadn't been fleeing in all directions, but had instead annihilated all the giant beasts. The dreadful power made their hearts tremble. It must be known that there were several star venerable level giant beasts outside. A giant beast in the early stage of the Star Venerable realm would not feel any fear even if it faced a practitioner in the late stage of the Star Venerable realm. The giant beasts in front of them were at least at the intermediate stage of Star Venerable realm, but none of them could escape the fate of being cut in half. At most, he would be hit a few times consecutively and die even more miserably. Yes, in a moment of carelessness, I destroyed them all. Etienne's expression was indifferent. He looked so casual that he didn't even take a breath. In a moment of carelessness, the Ghana tribe leaders were dumbfounded. They had also wanted to destroy all the giant beasts in a moment of carelessness. It's safe now, but I suggest we move somewhere else. This place isn't safe anymore. We've been discovered by the giant beasts. Etienne turned his head to look at the giant craters on the ground, which had been created by the giant beasts. He had destroyed them this time, but it didn't mean they were safe. Next time, the giant divine beasts would surely send even stronger giant beasts. At that time, they would be in even more danger. That's true, the Ghana tribe leader said with a bitter smile. Let's inform the Heaven Tiger tribe leader and ask him to take the small world away. This will save us a lot of trouble. Okay, Etienne said with a smile. Don't you want to take some of these giant beast corpses? They're good supplements. I have to take some of them. We can't waste them. Etienne extended his hand and took away some star venerable giant beasts and star venerable giant beast corpses. These were all great supplements. After eating them, it was like taking spiritual herbs. They could increase one's cultivation. This was especially true for those with low cultivation. If they ate them, the effects would be shocking. These giant beasts had been eating spiritual herbs to make breakthroughs. Since they had eaten a lot, their bodies had changed. Eating their flesh could increase one's cultivation by a lot. Of course, normally, we wouldn't dare to kill so many giant beasts. It's easy to attract giant beasts. The eyes of the Ghana tribe leader and the others lit up. Their cultivation was very high. It wouldn't be effective for them, but it would be effective for their clansmen. They often went out to kill giant beasts. Mutsibwa and the others had done the same. These teams often went out to kill giant beasts as supplements. Jia Feilong stayed there to collect the corpses, while the Ghana tribe leader went back to inform the Heaven Tiger tribe leader. The Heaven Tiger tribe leader rushed over after hearing the news. By the time he arrived, only a small portion of the corpses were left, and the ground was covered in blood. They're all dead? The Heaven Tiger tribe leader was scared out of his wits, just like the Ghana tribe leader and the others. When they encountered something like this, they would just turn and run. But Etienne had killed them all. The difference was like heaven and earth. Heaven Tiger tribe leader, thank you so much for the everlasting moon green dragon saber. If not for it, I really wouldn't have been able to kill them all. Etienne touched the long moon azure dragon blade very lovingly. When he held this long moon azure dragon blade, he felt that his combat power has been greatly improved. He really reached the realm of killing gods. Without the everlasting moon green dragon saber, he really wouldn't have been able to do this. Perhaps some giant beasts had slipped away, or they were surrounded and couldn't escape. But it was different now. With the everlasting moon green dragon saber, no matter how many came, they would all die. He would pounce and slash, directly cutting them in half. Of course, this is a weapon forged by Lord 5 Colored Monarch Dragon. In addition, Lord Azure Tiger Divine General strengthened it. Its might is extraordinary. Unfortunately, it has been corroded for too long. Otherwise, if it was in the past, even if an ordinary person threw it, they would be able to cut a Star Venerate level giant beast in half. The Heaven Tiger tribe leader was very proud. This was their ancestors' divine weapon. Etienne nodded. The Heaven Tiger tribe leader wasn't exaggerating. Based on his previous level, he could indeed do this. Of course, he was talking about cutting them once. But would a Star Venerate level giant beast be casually cut? Then I'll return this everlasting moon green dragon saber to you. Etienne handed it over reluctantly. If he held it for himself, the effect would definitely be doubled. Lord, this everlasting moon green dragon saber is the most suitable for you to use. The Heaven Tiger tribe leader shook his head and said, only you can bring out the greatest effect. Furthermore, you saved us, so it's even more suitable for you to use. Chapter 21:30. Etienne could clearly feel the effects of the long moon azure dragon saber. He had to admit that it was too powerful. He had galaxy-grade weapons before, all given to him by Tian Yuan. They were equally powerful, but compared to this long moon azure dragon saber, the difference was too big. The difference in grade was not small, but the key was that he could use it easily, as if he had used it for a long time. It could really bring out his strength to the extreme. Sure enough, a top-notch weapon could greatly increase his battle power, giving him the help of God. Therefore, when the Sky Tiger tribe leader said that he could use the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, he did not hesitate at all. He would not let go of anything that could increase his strength. After the matter was over, they continued to move. This time, they moved to the Shallow Moon tribe. After all, the area where the Sky Tiger tribe was located had fallen and was uninhabitable. The other new areas had not been found yet, so they could only settle in the Shallow Moon tribe first. When they arrived at the Shallow Moon tribe, the tribesmen were initially very angry. Seeing the Sky Tiger tribe, they were definitely furious. The Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber that they had been worshipping was stolen. How could they not be angry? After being informed by the Ghana tribe leader, they were all stunned. They did not expect the Sky Tiger tribe to go this far. Immediately, they all felt ashamed and accepted the Sky Tiger tribe and arranged the best accommodation for them. Yun and the Ghana tribe leader began to study the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber and check its condition. They wanted to see if the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber could lead them to the treasury. They had never known where the treasury was. Ever since they were controlled by the divine beasts, many things were blocked and could not be explored. Therefore, the divine beasts knew how to get there, while the Sky Tiger tribe did not. You want to know where the treasury is through the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber? Yun laughed when he knew why they came to find him. Yes, we don't know where the treasury is. We can only see if we can find the location of the treasury from the recovered Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, said the Sky Tiger tribe leader. That's not necessary. I know where the treasury is. Yun smiled. Great one. You know where the treasury is? They were shocked, feeling that this was inconceivable. Yun wasn't a cultivator here, so how could he know where the treasury was? Yes, I know where the treasury is. Yun said calmly. You must be wondering where I got this information. In fact, I got it from a giant beast's memory. The memory of a star venerable is quite valuable. Yun grinned. After gaining control of the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, he had long thought about the treasury. No matter what, he had to open the treasury. If they opened it one day, it would be troublesome. This was why he had searched the soul of the star venerable giant beast before killing it, and he had obtained its memories easily. At the same time, he had learned a lot about the giant divine beast domain. However, it was still not enough. This giant beast did not even know the detailed map of the giant divine beast domain. They usually only went to a few places. As for where the divine medicine was, they didn't know. The reason was very simple. Their subordinates had already helped them pick the fruits, so what else did they need to know? They only needed to be responsible for eating, and they didn't need to care about anything else. Fortunately, they knew a lot of inside information, which was enough. Of course, they also didn't know where the giant divine beast domain was. They had never left this region since they were born, and they had to admit that it was quite miserable. You could still find such important information by searching the soul. The Ghana tribe's leader and the others were shocked. It should have been very difficult to search the beast's memories. I'll have to use some tricks. In any case, I know where the treasury is. Yun said solemnly. It's heavily guarded, and it's not easy to enter. However, it's still possible to force your way in. But if you come out, it's hard to say. Maybe there's only one exit. They had never been to the treasury, so they didn't know whether there were other teleportation formations there. If there weren't, they would have to force their way out. However, Yun wasn't worried. He had just completed the mission, and he had easily obtained 10 million star energy points and a super teleportation divine stone. Now, he could easily pass through any region, and he wouldn't have to worry about being trapped. Even if he had to obey the law, he would still be able to pass through without any obstacles. After obtaining the key, he immediately set the coordinates here so that he wouldn't forget. That's true. They know the importance of the treasury, so they'll definitely send a large number of soldiers to guard it. The Ghana tribe's leader and the others were both happy and worried. Even if they had the key now, they wouldn't dare to open the treasury casually. Why don't we contact the leaders of the other tribes and go together? With a few more powerhouses, it'll be a great guarantee, the Ghana tribe's leader suggested. The other tribes have a good relationship with us, and there are also descendants of other divine generals among them. They can participate as well. Itianyun pondered for a moment, then nodded. Sure, let's gather them together. That way, we can split the benefits equally. Itianyun had originally planned to go alone, but after some thought, he decided that it would be better to bring more people with him. Having a few more helpers was undoubtedly the best choice. After all, they undoubtedly knew more about the divine general's treasury. All right, let's gather them now. The eyes of the Ghana tribe's leader and the others lit up. It would be best if they could go together. Then, they immediately went to inform the other tribes. Because they were in contact with each other, it was relatively easy to get in touch. After contacting them, it didn't take long for the chiefs and elders of the other tribes to come over one after another. How could they not be enthusiastic when they could go to the treasury to search for treasures together? They're all rushing over here now. They'll be here soon. After the Ghana tribe's leader contacted them, he looked at Itianyun and asked, Sir, aren't you going to look for the divine medicine first? Actually, I have the same intention, but I believe that it will take a lot of time to look for the divine medicine, right? Just the 10,000 emperor flower alone will take a long time, right? Itianyun had seen the map. Ignoring the fact that there were powerful giant beasts guarding that place, just heading there would take a lot of time. Unless they charged all the way there, it would be no different from courting death. They would definitely attract the attention of a large number of giant beasts. That's true. The Ghana tribe's leader nodded. Chapter 21:31. Itianyun's idea was simple. It would be great if he could find it in the treasury. If he couldn't find it, he would have to look for it in other places, which would take a lot of time. For the moment, going to the treasury was undoubtedly the most time-saving way. It could save him a lot of time. Soon, the chiefs and elders of the other tribes arrived at the Shallow Moon tribe. Basically, every tribe would send a tribe leader and an elder to the treasury area. Experts would definitely be needed, and not those with lower cultivation bases, as that would only be a burden to the tribe. Chief Jana, I heard there was a big fight in the Heavenly Tiger tribe. What's going on? We sent people there to check it out, but they all left. There were 6 of them. 3 of them were chiefs, and the other 3 were elders. All of them were star venerables. As chiefs, they couldn't resist the giant beast attack unless they were star venerables. They asked about the Heavenly Tiger tribe situation as soon as they arrived. They looked worried. However, they were struck dumb when they saw the chief of the Heavenly Tiger tribe as soon as they arrived. What could possibly happen to our Heavenly Tiger tribe? However, the fact that we were able to withstand the invasion of the colossal beasts is largely due to the help of our Lord. If it weren't for the help of our Lord, our Heavenly Tiger tribe would have truly suffered a calamity, said the Heavenly Tiger tribe patriarch. Lord, they didn't know what that meant. Who else could be called Lord? This is our Lord, the inheritor of the 5-color Emperor Dragon. The chief of the Heavenly Tiger tribe introduced him to the others. Suddenly, the eyes of the 6 people fell on Itianyun. Looking up and down, they really can't see anything special about him. Itianyun exerted the star's spiritual laksana of the 6-color Emperor Dragon. He showed up in front of the others soon. When everyone saw this, they were shocked. It really was the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. Although he was a 6-color Emperor Dragon, he hadn't changed much. His energy was very familiar. So, no matter how he had changed, he was essentially the same as the 5-color Emperor Dragon. Greetings, my lord. 4 of them knelt down with great respect. 2 of them didn't kneel, which meant that they were merely allies and not descendants of the divine general. The people from the other 2 tribes were descendants of the divine general. Originally, the Sky Tiger tribe leader planned to resist the huge beast. If he really couldn't hold on any longer, he would hand a long moon azure dragon saber to one of the tribes for safekeeping and protection. The other one was an ally, but he still held great respect for him. After all, they all knew about the 5-colored Emperor Dragon situation. They were only able to survive because of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. Naturally, they were very respectful. Mim, get up. Itianyun raised his hand and gestured for them to get up. It seemed like they were really quite loyal. None of them had any doubts. and their hearts had never changed. He was truly willing to sacrifice himself to serve the five-colored Emperor Dragon. I'm sure you all know what I've asked you to do, so I won't waste any more time. You can set off now. Tianyun said solemnly, when the time comes, please listen to my instructions. Do whatever I tell you to do. Yes, my lord. They all nodded heavily and didn't question him. It wasn't that Tianyun had absolute control, but he knew the situation over there through the huge beast's memory. If they followed his method, it would undoubtedly be easier. After a few simple instructions, they immediately set off. Along the way, it wasn't Tianyun who led the way, but the Ghana tribe leader himself. Tianyun only needed to tell him the general direction. The Ghana tribe leader was more familiar with this area, so it was best for him to lead the way. Tianyun had great strength and could easily kill huge beasts. However, if he attracted the attention of some huge beasts, he would immediately attract other huge beasts to attack him. By then, it would be difficult to move forward. Therefore, letting the Ghana tribe leader lead them forward was the best choice. In the end, it proved that Tianyun's choice was right. They were safe and sound along the way, easily avoiding the huge beasts. Even if the cultivation of the huge beasts was relatively low, they wouldn't attack them unless they had to take a long detour. Otherwise, they wouldn't fight with the huge beasts. Under the Ghana tribe leader's guidance, they quickly approached their destination. This destination was still quite far from their tribe. We're almost there, it's just in front. I can clearly feel the aura of many huge beasts in front of us. The Ghana tribe leader frowned. His keen perception allowed him to sense the situation of the huge beast from afar. Immediately, the Ghana tribe leader let Tianyun lead the team. Tianyun had previously said that he would lead the team. Everyone, follow me. We won't clash with them head-on. That will only attract more huge beasts. Tianyun quietly led them to the edge of the forest, and after passing through a forest, they saw the entrance of the temple in front of them. The entire temple was buried underground, and only an opening was exposed. It wasn't that the temple was built underground. Instead, it had always been above ground. As time passed, more and more soil had been buried, and this place had been covered. As a result, only the main entrance of the temple was exposed. The rest of the temple was underground, and it looked like it was built underground. Many huge beasts were wandering around outside the main entrance of the temple. They seemed quite carefree, as if this was their residence. They were lying on the ground and basking in the sun. At a glance, there were 4 or 5 star venerates and several dozen star venerates. Whether it was underground or in the air, there were many giant beasts circling around, tightly surrounding this place. It seemed like they were very cautious about the treasure house, and they wouldn't let the tribe get it. So many huge beasts, they gasped. How could they go in when they saw so many huge beasts in the sky? There was only one entrance. As long as they appeared in their line of sight, they would immediately be attacked. Moreover, it would take some time to open the door. They couldn't just go over and push it open. They would have to stab the long moon azure dragon knife into the door and wait for it to open. As for how long it would take, they didn't know. If it took a long time, wouldn't they have to face this group of huge beasts? Even if they were powerful star venerables, they still wouldn't be able to resist them for a long time, would they? Chapter 2132. Their eyes lit up when Tianyun said he had a way. It would be great if there was a way. But what kind of way would it be? They were very curious. What is Master's plan? They asked doubtfully. It's very simple. I'll lure them over, Tianyun said with a smile. What? They were dumbfounded. They thought they would use some method to lure the giant beast away, or use some method to sneak into the temple. Now it seemed that it was not the case at all. Tianyun would personally take action and lure them over. What was the difference between this and no plan? Master, isn't this too dangerous? I thought you had a plan. The Ghana tribe leader did not know whether to laugh or cry. He really thought that Tianyun had a good plan. What plan can I have? There are so many beasts here, and there is only one at the door. Even if I have great abilities, I can't enter from other places. Tianyun shrugged his shoulders and said, So I have to attract them personally and you will open the door." With that, Etianyin handed the long moon azure dragon knife to the Ghana tribe leader so that they could open the door. He was mainly to attract the firepower. The others could just sneak in. "Let's go together and help. Maybe they'll be better." The Sky Tiger tribe leader interrupted. The other tribe leaders nodded. They also wanted to participate. If more people could help, it would definitely attract more attention. "No need, I'll do it. If you guys go together, it will easily distract them and even make them suspicious." Etianyin explained. "If I do it alone, it will be slightly better. If I really can't do it, then I'll ask you guys for help." "Master, isn't this too dangerous? If we are not careful, we will fall into trouble." The Red Wolf tribe leader was very worried. As the descendant of a divine general, he was very concerned about the master. "Yes, master, you can't take the risk. This kind of thing can be done by us." The Moon Snake tribe leader also echoed. None of them wanted Etianyin to come personally, even though they had never met before. To them, as long as he was the heir of the five-colored Emperor Dragon, he was the most important. At this time, the Sky Tiger Patriarch stretched out his hand and pulled back the Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others, saying with a smile, "Let the Lord go. We will just listen to the Lord's orders." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others had all witnessed Etianyan's strength before, so they naturally would not stop him at all. Looking at their expressions, he found it very funny. They had the same expression before. They were all worried that Etianyin would be in danger. But in reality, that was an all-around suppression. How can this be? There are so many giant beasts." The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others still shook their heads. "Let us do it. We're more suitable." "That's right. We have more people, so it's easier for us to distract them. The main thing is that it's too dangerous." "Sir, you can't take the risk." They still chose to stop him. After so long, they had finally waited for the five-colored Emperor Dragon's inheritor. How could they let Etianyin take the risk? "What did I say before I came?" Etianyan's expression turned cold. "Follow your instructions." They sighed. "And it's fine as long as you know. I'll leave the rest to you. When I lure them over, you guys come over immediately, understand?" Etianyin glanced at them, then turned and charged out. "Why didn't you stop the Lord?" The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others were very dissatisfied. If a few more people stopped him, they could still make Etianyin stop. "Stop him." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch chuckled. "You'll know later what is called the Lord. This is the standard that a true powerhouse should have." Before he finished speaking, a roar was heard. The huge six-colored Emperor Dragon's figure pressed down from the sky, instantly crushing a group of giant beasts. Then, like plowing a field, it crushed a group of giant beasts into minced meat. Growl! As soon as the giant beasts saw Etianyin, they all turned around and shifted their attention to Etianyin. "Bring it on!" Etianyin laughed. The giant six-colored Emperor Dragon jumped forward, fearlessly dashing toward the group of giant beasts. Chaos anger. Etianyin opened his giant mouth and breathed. A giant light beam swept toward the giant beasts. A large number of giant beasts were instantly blown into ashes. The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others were dumbfounded by the great power. This is so powerful. It seems that the star Venerable Giant Beast was crushed by his foot. I didn't see it wrong. The star Venerable Giant Beast was crushed by his foot. Isn't the Lord too strong? They were all petrified. The others, who had never seen Etianyan's power, were all shocked. Only the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's Patriarch and the others showed a satisfied smile. They had all seen Etianyan's power, so they knew they would show such an expression. "Get ready. We're going to open the gate." The Ghana Tribe's Patriarch stared at the gate, ready to rush over to open the gate at any time. Most of the giant beasts had been attracted by Etianyin. There were almost no giant beasts outside the gate of the Divine Palace. Most of the giant beasts had been drawn away, so there were no giant beasts guarding the Divine Palace. "Go!" At this moment, the Ghana Tribe's Patriarch led the crowd to the gate. He took out the Long Moon Azure Dragon knife and stabbed it into the gate. Buzz! The Long Moon Azure Dragon knife started to shine with a dazzling light. Then the gate started to rumble. It was ready to open. Growl! The giant beasts knew what the plan was when they saw this. Most of them turned around and jumped toward the gate, not wanting to let them in. All of you stay here. Where are you going? Eteonyon looked at the giant beasts with a disdainful gaze. He quickly waved his giant tail and swept it to the side. The giant beasts that jumped toward him were all cut in half at the waist. The gate opened very slowly. It must have been filled with energy before it could open slowly. If it wasn't filled with energy, it couldn't be opened. Therefore, Eteonyon could only try his best to block their attack. But there were still some beasts that slipped through the net. But it wasn't a problem for the Ghana tribe's patriarch and the others. They could deal with them easily. Hurry up! Hurry up! They hurriedly shouted at the gate. But their shouts were meaningless. The gate was still filled with energy and opened slowly. It was useless to push it open forcefully. Chapter 21:33. When the door opened to a gap big enough for one person to enter, everyone rushed in and shouted to Eteonyon at the same time, "Lord, come in quickly!" Eteonyon's eyes lit up. With a heavy flick of his tail, he sent the giant beast flying and quickly flew to the door of the shrine. Just as he arrived at the door of the shrine, he quickly pulled out the long moon azure dragon saber and held it tightly in his hand. Without the energy of the long moon azure dragon saber, the door of the shrine began to close. However, the closing speed was the same as the opening speed. It was very slow and closed bit by bit. At this speed, it would take a long time to close, just like before. When the door was completely closed, who knew how many giant beasts would break in? "Lord, you go in. Leave this to us." The other patriarchs stood up and wanted to help stop these giant beasts. "No need, you guys go in. I'll guard this door. No one can break in." Eteonyon's eyes turned cold. He held the long moon azure dragon saber and slashed at the giant beasts that pounced on him several times. Several huge saber radiants slashed through the sky and swept out. When it came into contact with the hard giant beasts, they were easily cut in half like tofu. No matter how many giant beasts came, they were easily cut outside the door by Eteonyon. It could be said that one man could hold the pass against 10,000. With Eteonyon standing there, not a single giant beast would be let through. With the support of the long moon azure dragon saber, his power was even more domineering. Even if he did not transform into the original body of the six-colored emperor dragon, he could still erupt with amazing power. He was even much stronger than in his original body. The patriarchs of the Crimson Wolf patriarchs and the others who wanted to help were shocked by the situation. Not only was he powerful in his original body, but now that he was holding the long moon azure dragon saber, the power he erupted was even more shocking. They thought that in the face of Eteonyon's attack, they really could not take more than a few moves. "Lord is really amazing. No wonder you didn't stop him. With his strength, why would he need our help? He alone is enough." The patriarchs of the Crimson Wolf patriarchs felt like they were here to pick up treasures. They did not need to do anything at all. "You just didn't say it on purpose. You just wanted to embarrass us." The Crimson Wolf patriarch and the others expressed their dissatisfaction. They wanted to help time and time again, but were rejected by Eteonyon. They had thought that Eteonyon was putting on a brave front, but now it seemed that he was not putting on a brave front. If Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the rest had said it in advance, they would not have been so embarrassed. With such a powerful force, why would he need their help? It would only make things worse. Not at all, not at all. We see that you are so enthusiastic, so we don't want to dampen your enthusiasm, right? Sometimes we also have to show off our abilities. It's just that Lord doesn't need it, so there's nothing we can do. Heavenly Tiger Lord and the others all laughed, shrugging their shoulders, feeling a bit helpless. "All right, you don't have to explain." The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others waved their hands. They didn't want to say anything more. In any case, it was already embarrassing enough. Eteonyon, who was at the front, wielded the long moon azure dragon saber and continuously swept it forward. It was as if there was an endless amount of energy bursting out without any pause. There was already a river of blood in front of them. This ruthlessness made their hearts tremble. They had seen overbearing people, but they had never seen such an overbearing one. They did not expect that the long moon azure dragon saber could be used to such a level in the hands of Etianyan. Go! After Etianyan swung his saber for the last time, he quickly hid behind the door. With a boom, the door closed tightly, just like before. At this time, the giant beast could finally pounce on them, but they only hit the door, causing their heads to bleed, but they did not break the skin of the door. It had to be said that the door was too hard. If it could be easily broken, they would have broken it long ago. Why would they need to look for the long moon azure dragon saber? Roar! They roared. They had guarded here for so long, but the enemy had invaded, which made them feel very indignant. But no matter how indignant they were, it was meaningless. Immediately, they had Giant Beast go back to report the situation here to the giant divine beast. It's safe. When Etianyan heard the crazy crashing sounds outside, he let out a deep breath, and his face was a little pale. It was not that he could not use up all his energy. There was still a lot of consumption, but he could still hold on, so it was not a big problem. If it had been a little longer, he would not have been able to hold on. The consumption was really too shocking. Lord, you're really amazing. I didn't expect you to have such great power. We overestimated ourselves and said that we would help you, but now it seems that we've done something unnecessary. The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others were a little embarrassed, feeling that they were really busy for nothing. There's no need to say anything unnecessary. You guys can actually help, but I don't need your help for the time being. For example, the situation in this treasure vault. Maybe you guys know something. I can only help a little. Etianyan smiled at them, not feeling that they could not help at all. It was not that they could not help, but Etianyan did not want them to help. To them, killing these giant beasts did not bring them any benefits, but to him, it was a large amount of star energy. How could he not be enthusiastic? If he could not get anything, then he would definitely be willing to let everyone come together instead of trying to be brave alone. Of course, it would be better if he came alone. What if the blade light he swung out hurt his own people? Lord, you don't have to comfort us. We know our own situation, but we will work hard. We won't really come here for nothing and not be able to help at all. The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others all volunteered. We have some records of this treasure vault. Leave this place to us. Stop bragging. Do you think you know as much as we do? The Sky Tiger Patriarch had a mocking expression on his face. This treasure vault was left behind by the Azure Tiger Divine General. So what did it have to do with the Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others? That's enough. The Crimson Wolf Patriarch was so angry that he stomped his feet. Can't you give me some face and show off a little in front of the Lord? Having cultivated to this level, they were not very thick-skinned, and they were not the type to come here to freeload. They were only here for a short stroll, and if they were to take away some treasures, they would really feel embarrassed. Not giving. The Sky Tiger Patriarch rolled his eyes at them, then smiled and said, Lord, let's go inside. We know more about this treasure vault, so just treat them as our hired thugs and help us move some things. When the time comes, just give them a little reward, no more. Chapter 21:34. Everyone joked around, and the atmosphere relaxed a little. Then, they turned their attention back to the treasury. There was nothing special about the layout of the treasury. It was not like there were treasures all over the ground when they entered. Everything looked very ordinary. It was no different from the shrine outside. If there was any difference, it would be that the great formation here was extremely shocking. It was almost densely covered with stars, and there was not a single loophole. It was no wonder that the giant beast couldn't break it. Just by looking at this formation, even if a giant divine beast came, it wouldn't be able to break this shrine. If it could be broken, the giant divine beast would have already rushed over to break it. It was precisely because they could not break it that they thought of a way to get the long moon azure dragon saber to open it so that they could get all the treasures in the treasury. More importantly, they wanted to control the shrine. Divine General Azure Tiger's treasury was not a simple treasury. It was the treasury of the divine generals under the five-colored Emperor Dragon. It was completely different. Divine General Azure Tiger's treasury was important because it contained things that could be used to deal with the giant beasts. Divine General Azure Tiger had left the treasury just to wait for the giant beasts to counterattack so that they could use the treasury. Who knew that the treasury would be occupied? If the long moon azure dragon saber had not been taken away, the giant divine beasts would have taken it for themselves. We learned about divine general azure tiger's treasury before, but we moved too many times over time. Many records have disappeared. The heavenly tiger tribe's leader side. Thus, we only know part of the situation. For example, there are all kinds of formations and traps in divine general azure tiger's treasury. If we are not careful, we might be injured. This injury is fatal. Even a great star venerable would not be able to withstand it. But that's a record from the past. So much time has passed. I wonder how powerful the formation is now. Even if it's weak, it should be able to kill us on the spot. The heavenly tiger tribe's leader had a serious expression. This was not a joke. The atmosphere became serious. Entering with a long moon azure dragon saber did not mean that they could move around freely. There were still endless dangers. Divine General Azure Tiger was also worried that the long moon azure dragon saber would fall into someone else's hands. What if they opened the treasury and activated the treasures and the formation? At that time, they were afraid that they would harm their own people, so they set up a defensive formation. Divine General Azure Tiger was worried about harming his own people, so he told his descendants the map of the treasury and the situation of the formation. But now most of the information was gone. The place that was supposed to be easily bypassed had become a trap that could deal with them. When everyone heard the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch's explanation, their faces immediately changed. This was really a huge scam. If they were not careful, they would really die here. Looks like it won't be easy to take control of this treasury. Tianyun stared at the passageway in front of him. He couldn't see anything with his naked eyes, but danger could erupt at any time. He wouldn't even know how he died. Yes, although it is a little difficult, we can still learn a lot of things with our limited records. As long as we can reach the inner area and use the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, we will be able to completely control the treasury. The Sky Tiger Patriarch explained. All right, let's go now. You guys lead the way. This time, I don't know what's going on. Tianyun smiled and gestured. Then leave it to me. No one knows more than me. Sky Tiger Clan leader confidently brought them a few steps forward. Just as he was about to show off, he stepped forward. Suddenly, a few sharp auras slashed towards him vertically and horizontally, forming the shape of a cross. A sense of danger, filled with disappointment, welled up from the Sky Tiger Patriarch's heart. But someone with sharp eyes and quick hands dragged the Sky Tiger Patriarch over, barely dodging the cross-shaped sharp lights. The cross-shaped sharp lights pierced through the place where the Sky Tiger Patriarch stood and continued to slash towards the wall. When they touched the wall, they sank into the wall and flickered with a faint light. So close, I was almost cut into pieces. The Sky Tiger Patriarch broke out in a cold sweat. This was just the beginning, and he almost died? Perhaps he wouldn't die, but after being slashed, he would at least be heavily injured. Sky Tiger Patriarch, your memory seems to be a little off? The Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others rolled their eyes. Who was so confident before, and was slapped in the face right at the beginning? Accident. The Sky Tiger Patriarch said awkwardly, I have the memory, it's just a little off. After all, some places the memory is still not too deep. As for this place, go this way. He was just about to leave when he was pulled to the side by Tianyun, who said calmly, Not this way, it's this way. That side will still be hit. This place is very well hidden. It's not that easy to walk. Finished talking, Tianyun took the lead and walked to the side. This time, no sharp lights appeared, and they walked over easily. The Sky Tiger Patriarch was even more embarrassed now. Could it be that he was really wrong? When the Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the rest followed out, they thought for a moment, took out a piece of crystal, and threw it toward the place where the Sky Tiger Patriarch wanted to go. Before it even landed, it was sliced into pieces by the cross-shaped sharp lights. Really went the wrong way. They were speechless, really went the wrong way again. The Sky Tiger Patriarch was not as accurate as Tianyun. This time, he was even more embarrassed. Master, how can you tell? The Sky Tiger Patriarch rubbed his hands to ease his embarrassment. How can I tell? The bricks on the floor are all different. It's very easy to tell. Etienne explained indifferently. At this moment, they suddenly turned their heads and realized that it was true. Rows of bricks. Only the bricks on one road were different, the rest were the same. This meant that if he walked through the area with different bricks, he would be able to walk through it. Isn't this too simple? It's so easy to see. The Sky Tiger Patriarch didn't know whether to laugh or cry. They had seen through it long ago, but they really didn't think that way. Because as long as they weren't blind, they would be able to see through it, so they thought that it was impossible. The simpler something is, the more you think it's not. This is just using your mentality. Etienne said as he walked. By the time you react, who knows how many attacks you have suffered? It's already too late. Master is still the best. You can tell right away. Sky Tiger Patriarch and the others smiled bitterly. This was truly a slap in the face. Actually, I was just lucky. Etienne brought them forward, and after taking a detour, they arrived at the next area. This area was also sparse and ordinary. There was nothing special about it. Even the floor did not have any traces. Chapter 21:35. Etienne wandered around the place, but he was already shocked by the technique. It was indeed a high-level star pattern technique. It was flawless and could kill a star venerable on the spot easily. Grand Star venerables might be able to resist it for a while. However, as time passed, the effect of the technique weakened. There is no formation that could be broken forever. It could only be maintained for a longer period of time. The treasury in front of him could be maintained for a longer period of time. It was amazing that it could still have such an effect after such a long time. At least for now, Etienne couldn't use his own power to break the star patterns. He scanned the place with the appraisal eye. The star patterns were at least at the 6th or 7th level. How could he break them with his current power? If he wanted to upgrade to this level, he would need an astronomical amount of star energy. The further he went, the more exaggerated it became. The star energy he had wasn't enough for him to upgrade to the 6th or 7th level. He couldn't even upgrade to the 6th level. What about here? Do you have any memories? Etienne scanned the place. He couldn't see anything, but he could sense that the formation here was perfectly integrated. As for where the explosion would come from, he really didn't know. Yes, the Sky Tiger Tribe's master patted his chest confidently and said with a smile, "If I fail here, I won't be qualified to lead the way." The Red Wolf Tribe's master and the Ghana Tribe's master looked at him suspiciously. They still didn't believe him. "Why are you looking at me like that? I'll definitely succeed this time." The Sky Tiger Tribe's master stepped forward and said, "This is called the formation of many gods. As long as you take a step inside, many strong people will appear to suppress you. Each of them is at least at the peak of the late stage of Star Venerable Realm. You'll be heavily injured if you're lucky, and you'll die if you're unlucky." Formation of many gods. Etienne glanced around. He could see the structure of the 4 formation eyes. If he stepped inside, the 4 formation eyes would definitely send out the souls of strong people to attack him. Since it was very flexible, it wasn't as rigid as ordinary formations. Therefore, it was easy to kill the enemy when attacked. In particular, the coordination was perfect. There wouldn't be any loopholes. Therefore, as long as one wasn't heaven-defying, they wouldn't be able to withstand 4 fierce attacks. It's very simple to pass through this place. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch kept them in suspense. After pausing for a moment, he smiled and said, "That is to rely on our blood essence to easily pass through." With that, the Heavenly Tiger Clan chief stretched out his finger and cut a wound, drawing a few star runes on their bodies. "That's enough. You can pass now." The Heavenly Tiger Clan leader walked forward confidently and easily stepped into the formation. Just as he stepped in, a huge formation spirit appeared in all 4 corners, staring at him like a tiger watching its prey. After sizing him up for a while, he didn't attack. Instead, he just stared at him. "I told you it's fine. Come here." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch continued to walk forward, but after a few steps, the formation spirit suddenly attacked the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch fiercely, scaring the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch into hurriedly retreating. In an instant, he was outside the formation, and the attacks quickly stopped. Didn't you say it's fine just now? The Ghana patriarch was furious. This was the second time he had made a mistake. If he wasn't careful, he would die here. I remember correctly. They didn't attack just now. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't know where he went wrong. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch didn't remember wrongly. But this should require a certain footwork to be able to walk through. Just the protection of blood essence isn't enough. You also need to walk the right path. Etianyan interrupted from the side. Along the way, he realized that these formation spirits would attack. But after retreating slightly, they wouldn't attack anymore. This should be the effect of blood essence. If it was anyone else, they would probably have been blasted into smithereens. This seems to be the case. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch smiled awkwardly. He seemed to have remembered. Seems like. They fiercely rolled their eyes at the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch. Previously, he was so confident. In the blink of an eye, it was as if he was farting. He immediately made a mistake. This mistake wasn't an ordinary mistake. It was a mistake that would cost him his life. It wasn't that they blamed the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch for making a mistake. But the moment he made a mistake, he would be heavily injured or even lose his life. They didn't want such a problem to happen to the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch. No matter what, he was their friend, especially since the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch was the one who took the lead. If there was a problem, he would be the one to bear the responsibility. Actually, the records provided are too fragmented. There is too little useful information. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch sighed deeply. He didn't want to do this. Every time he thought there was no problem, there would be other steps. He was also in despair. Didn't you guys say that there were corresponding records? Take them out. Etianyan asked the Scarlet Wolf Patriarch and the others. There are records. Speaking of which, it seems to be related to this formation. The Scarlet Wolf Patriarch and the others took out a portion of the records. Their records were also badly damaged. They could only display a small portion of the records. Among them was a map that recorded how to walk. But they didn't know which formation this map belonged to, so they couldn't use it. At the same time, they didn't know whether it belonged to this formation of gods, either. The information was limited. Let me try and see if it belongs to this formation. Etianyan took a look at the formation and decided to try it himself. Sir, it's too dangerous. You mustn't. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others hurried to dissuade him. If they went in carelessly, they would definitely be attacked. If it was slightly more serious, their souls would be destroyed. If I don't try, do you want me to let you try? Compared to escaping speed, I was more confident in my ability. Besides, as I said before, I'm here to help. Since you've provided me with the clues, I'll give it a try. Etianyan said as he immediately walked towards the great array of gods. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others couldn't stop him even if they wanted to. Etianyan had already entered the formation of gods. As soon as he entered, the formation's spirits appeared again. They were all-star venerables in the late stage. Even Grand Star venerables might not be able to resist their joint attack. This time, their hearts immediately rose to their throats. Not to mention them, even Etianyan felt nervous. When he took a few steps inside, he found that the formation spirits were staring at him and didn't move. He was relieved. It seemed the clues he had provided were correct. Then Etianyan walked inside according to the map. He really walked to the exit on the opposite side. As soon as he walked out, the formation spirits disappeared, as if they hadn't entered the formation of gods. Chapter 21:36. Following the footwork that Scarlet Wolf Chief and the others provided, they easily passed through the formation of the gods. What a pleasant surprise. Who would have thought that they would get it from another tribe and not from Sky Tiger Chief's side? What a joke. Soon, the other chiefs and elders followed the footwork and passed through the formation of the gods, arriving at the other end perfectly. We're finally here. I thought that we wouldn't be able to make it. If we had tried bit by bit, we would have died. Ghana Chief shook his head. While he hadn't seen the four formation spirits attack, once they did, they would definitely be blasted to smithereens. Sky Tiger Chief, you said that you knew the most, but in the end, you still don't know? Scarlet Wolf Chief and the others rolled their eyes at Sky Tiger Chief. He didn't care about their information, but now he was using their information to come over. There are some gaps in this, no choice. I didn't think that the information you have would match up. Sky Tiger Chief scratched his head and smiled. He had been too confident before, causing him to be slapped in the face. Oomph. Although our ancestor wasn't Divine General Azure Tiger, he was still one of his companions. There's still some records of him. While it isn't complete, if we piece it all together, it might be useful. Scarlet Wolf Chief took out all the records and spread them out. Come, compare the information and perfect it in case something happens later on. Okay, the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch didn't say much this time and began to piece together the information to see if he could piece together some of the information later. After putting it together for a while, the general information was pieced together. It's still not complete, but at least there are a few places that look more complete. Sky Tiger Chief and the others felt that there shouldn't be any problems after piecing it together for a while. They could find most of the treasuries, but there were still many gaps that they couldn't find. This meant that they had many areas that they had to slowly explore and solve themselves. One had to say that it was quite stressful. This is difficult. There are still so many gaps. We will need to spend a lot of effort to reach our destination. They smiled bitterly. Although they were prepared, they didn't expect that there would be so many gaps. It had to be said that this would cause them great trouble. There are a lot of vacancies, but we can only bite the bullet and go in. We can't just leave the treasury alone, can we? Etienne shook his head and said, "Let's go. We'll take it one step at a time and go as deep as we can." All right, they nodded heavily. Then they continued to move forward. Soon, they saw another large array. Fortunately, the records were more complete and they knew how to pass through it. Along the way, they were able to pass through quite a few areas. This was all thanks to the various patriarchs providing the corresponding information and piecing them together to form a smooth path. Halfway through, there was finally an empty area. 5 stone statues. 5 stone statues stood tall in the surroundings. They didn't need to enter to know that if they trespassed, they would face the fierce attacks of the 5 stone statues. How do we clear this stage? There doesn't seem to be any records. Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others were incomparably vexed. They kept flipping through the records, but they couldn't find any information at all. After searching for a long time, they couldn't find any relevant content. How about we give it a try with a few drops of essence blood? The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch scratched his head. In the end, he still chose this method. They couldn't think of any other way, nor did they know how to do it. The stages would get more and more difficult. That was for sure. The 5 stone statues must have high cultivation levels. They must be at least in the late stage of Star Venerable Realm. Let's give it a try. Etienne gestured to the Heavenly Tiger Patriarch to give him a drop of essence blood. "Sir, you do it?" The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch said after thinking. "How about I do it?" "No need. I'll do it," Etienne said firmly. "All right." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch gave him a drop of essence blood. After finishing, Etienne immediately lifted his foot and walked inside. As soon as he stepped inside, the 5 statues immediately came to life. The thick layer of dust on their body was quickly shaken off, and then 5 huge statues came down from the top. All of them were Cyan Tiger War General. They were all covered in thick cyan fur. They were all powerful warriors of the Heavenly Tiger tribe. One could even sense the energy of Cyan Tiger Divine General from them. Cyan Tiger Divine General must have given them some of his essence blood, which could give them excellent power. Intruder, die. The 5 huge statues issued a warning roar to Etienne, which was deafening to the ears. "Sir, come back." The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others were startled. They wanted Etienne to come back quickly. Etienne stepped back quickly. As soon as he stepped back, the 5 statues stopped moving, but they were still sizing them up. As long as they kept coming in, they would be attacked fiercely. Darn it, the essence blood is useless. How can we get rid of them? The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch and the others frowned. They kept thinking of ways to get rid of them. 5 statues with the essence blood of Cyan Tiger Divine General were no joke. Tian Yun can feel the dangerous aura coming from it. Cyan Tiger Divine General was really powerful. The statues made with his essence blood were certainly not weak. Even though many years had passed, they were still in the late stage of Star Venerable Realm. If they worked together, they could even kill ordinary Grand Star Venerables. While they were thinking hard, Tian Yun said calmly, "Don't think too much. Let's just fight. Let's give them a good fight. Lord, these are statues with Cyan Tiger Divine General's essence blood. It's not a joke." They tried to dissuade him. "Let's think about it and see if there is any other way." "Think? How long do you need to think about it?" Tian Yun asked. "This? I'm not sure." They smiled awkwardly. They said they would think about it, but they did not know where to start. "It's fine if you don't know. Dragons can't be without a leader. We should take care of them quickly. We can't stay in the tribe for a long time. Without the patriarch, problems will arise." Tian Yun said calmly. "Think about it carefully. I'll try it myself. Tell me when you figure it out." They opened their mouths. What he said was true. They really cannot stay here forever. Even if they could solve the puzzle in several hundred years, it would take too long. They could not stay outside for that long. "Lord, let me help you." The Ghana Patriarch and the others stepped forward. They did not want to think about it anymore. They could not figure it out, either. They could only try it with Tian Yun. Chapter 2137. Tian Yun has always preferred a simple and crude way of doing things. He's really not good at this kind of roundabout thing. "Let's go." Tian Yun didn't waste any time. He held the long moon azure dragon blade and dashed inside. As soon as he stepped inside, the 5 statues started moving and dashed toward him. "Your Excellency, we are here to help you." The Ghana tribe's master and the others used all of their skills to summon their strongest star Dharma images to help them resist the 5 statues. They were a group of people, and they all used their strongest moves. They didn't dare hold anything back. Buzz! Beams of divine light shot out from their hands, blasting towards the 5 statues. They wanted to blast these statues away. If they gathered together, they would definitely be finished. Intruders! Die! These green tiger statues let out a roar and pounced over. Their razor-sharp claws were like galaxy-grade weapons, tearing at Lin Fan's group. It easily tore the incoming attacks into motes of light. The terrifying power caused their expressions to change. They had used their strongest moves. How could they have cracked them so easily? However, their attacks were still useful. At least, they could stop the statues for a second. Scatter! Tian Yun took advantage of this opportunity to sweep the long moon azure dragon blade forward. The sharp blade radiance spread in all directions and blasted the 5 statues away. The extreme blade radiance only left faint marks on their bodies. The attack, which could easily cut a star venerable beast into 2 pieces, didn't seem to have any effect on them. Tian Yun wasn't surprised. If those statues could be cut into 2 pieces easily, they wouldn't be qualified to be guards here. Azure Dragon Continuous Break. At this moment, Tian Yun's eyes burst with a sharp light, aimed at one of the statues and crazily slashed down. His whole body turned into a huge azure dragon, continuously slashing down on the statue. Clang! Clang! When the long moon azure dragon saber struck the statue, it let out an ear-piercing sound that made people's eardrums hurt. However, the continuous slashes only left a slightly deeper mark on the surface. However, Tian Yun did not stop his ferocious attacks. Instead, he continued to madly slash. It's really too hard. The materials used to create these guys must be at least galaxy grade. I can't even cut through it. Tian Yun had already used all his strength, but the effect was minimal. It seemed like he couldn't use force even if he wanted to. Just as he was about to retreat, the statue suddenly stopped moving. After pausing for a moment, it turned around and returned to its original position, no longer attacking. Only the statue left. The others did not leave and were still entangled with the Crimson Wolf Patriarch and the others. There's such a method? Tian Yun's eyes lit up. Although he didn't know what it meant, he continued to attack the other statues. After a few hits, he returned to his original position and stopped attacking. After realizing this, Etianyan once again attacked the other statues. The other patriarchs also noticed the situation and were delighted. With 2 less statues, the pressure on them was greatly reduced. Etianyan did the same and continued to hit the other 3 statues back to their original positions. They were definitely fine, but they still returned to their original positions. Done. Etianyan took a deep breath. He had to admit that these guys were too hard. Fortunately, he had the help of the other patriarchs. Otherwise, it would have been really difficult to deal with them. With the help of the other patriarchs, he could have extra energy to deal with one of the statues and end the battle faster. What's going on? They returned to their original positions after being attacked? We also attacked them just now, but why didn't it have this effect? I suspect that it should be the problem with the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade. After being attacked by the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade, they should have felt the power and quickly retreated. Could it be that I have to attack them with the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber in order to pass this level and not use other methods? After some speculations, they felt that they had to use the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade to pass this level. They didn't need to defeat them. They just needed to hit them. If that was the case, the difficulty wouldn't be small. That should be the case. I felt that when I hit them, they immediately stopped. The main thing is that the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade's effect has been weakened. If they were at their peak, they definitely wouldn't have been so slow. I reckon that I would only need to touch them for a while, and it would be over. Etienne's hand went numb. He had to admit that they were really too hard. This is really a test. Even if they're on our side, they still have to play like this? The Sky Tiger Patriarch wiped his cold sweat. If he had a lower cultivation, wouldn't he have been tortured to death? All right, it's good enough that we can pass. Etienne continued to walk forward. He looked up at the statues and realized that they were all looking at him. It seemed that they had acknowledged him. They continued to walk forward and easily passed the next level. There was still information at the back. After passing through several levels, they finally arrived at the last level, the central control altar. At this point, it was considered over. Although they didn't reach the deepest region of the treasury, they had to control this place if they wanted to be safe. Otherwise, if they triggered other mechanisms, it would really be fatal. We're finally here. The journey was really tough. The treasury that our ancestors left for us is basically killing us. The Sky Tiger Patriarch wiped his cold sweat. Thinking back to the areas they had passed through, it had to be said that the difficulty was really high. Luckily, they all had a way to pass. If it was any other invader, they would have been sliced into pieces. There were really too many levels. They were all exhausted just to get here. We can only say that we didn't take care of it properly and lost the method passed down by our ancestors. If we didn't lose it, it would be really easy to come in. The Ghana chief shook his head and sighed. The changes of time had led to the decline of their tribe. It was already not bad that they were able to live until now. Lord, insert the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade into the control panel. This should be the end. The Sky Tiger Patriarch gestured. Etienne nodded and walked over to the control panel with the Long Moon Azure Dragon Blade. The moment he stepped on the control panel, the ground rumbled. In the blink of an eye, the control panel under his feet appeared and turned into a huge green tiger statue. Divine General Green Tiger. Chapter 2138. They hadn't expected the control panel to suddenly transform into a giant statue of Azure Tiger Divine General. However, it didn't attack immediately. Instead, it stood up and looked down at them. After so many years, a junior has finally come with the Azure Dragon Saber to open the Azure Tiger Divine Palace. It looks like the situation outside hasn't worsened as quickly as I thought. Azure Tiger Divine General spoke slowly. Without a doubt, it was just a memory left behind here, not the real Azure Tiger Divine General. It didn't know the situation outside at all, which was why it said such a thing. It wasn't that the situation hadn't worsened, but that it had always been occupied and couldn't be obtained. But since it's here, it means that the situation outside is starting to worsen. Giant beasts might attack again, or other invaders might attack. I can't help you with all these unknown factors. Azure Tiger Divine General continued. There aren't many treasures left in this divine palace. After the battle back then, it was too heavily depleted and there are too few things left. However, there are still quite a few treasures left for you, enough to last you for a while. Most importantly, you can use all the resources here. All the statues and formations here can deal with some external enemies, but they are still inanimate objects. But in the end, these are inanimate objects. If I want to truly protect myself, I have to become stronger. Otherwise, everything will be empty talk. The Sky Tiger Patriarch and the others quickly knelt down and shouted, "Greetings, Ancestor." They knew that these were statues. Even if they attacked like this, they still wouldn't know what they were doing. This was a form of respect for their ancestor. It didn't matter if the statue was real or not. It was just like the statues they had placed in the divine palace. They didn't have souls and they didn't move, but they were still very respectful. Although you've worked hard to get here, you won't be able to control this place without going through some tests. Azure Tiger Divine General completely ignored them and continued to explain. There's a test? They immediately collapsed. After going through so many tests, they thought that Azure Tiger Divine General was just going to say a few words. Who knew that there really was a test? Wasn't this a little too much? Azure Tiger Divine General ignored their expressions and continued to explain. There's a control panel behind me. All you need to do is insert the Azure Dragon Saber into it. I won't take the initiative to attack. I'll just keep dodging until you insert the Azure Dragon Saber. Azure Tiger Divine General sat down and gestured for them to attack. That's pretty simple. They glanced at each other. Fortunately, he wasn't going to beat them up. Otherwise, they really wouldn't be able to resist. I don't think it's that simple. Eteonian looked up and down at this burly body. It looked huge and not very agile, but that was only on the surface. The real situation was definitely not that simple. The checkpoints would definitely get harder as they progressed. If this checkpoint was going to be easy, then it would be too easy for them. He raised the long moon Azure Dragon Saber and rushed forward. But as soon as he got close to the Azure Tiger Divine General, Eteonian immediately made his move. The Azure Tiger Divine General statue's figure flickered, dodging to the side at an astonishing speed. He hadn't even touched it yet, but it was already hiding in a corner. So fast, Eteonian descended from the sky. His speed was really shocking, much faster than the other statues. How could an ordinary star venerable achieve such a speed? Even some ordinary Grand Star venerables might not be able to achieve such a speed. Speed is the specialty of the Heavenly Tiger tribe. Sir, let me have a try. The Heavenly Tiger tribe's master stepped forward. This time, he wanted to save some face, so he asked Eteonian to let him have a try with the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber. Okay. Eteonian handed the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber to him when he saw how confident he was. The Heavenly Tiger tribe's master grabbed the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber and glanced at the Red Wolf tribe's master. Watch me this time. I didn't do a good job before, but I'm sure I can complete the task this time. Then the Heavenly Tiger tribe's master exerted his specialty. The Star Dharma idol burst out, and his body turned into the shape of an azure tiger. He was as sharp as the previous statues. Go! The Heavenly Tiger tribe's master pounced at an astonishing speed. He turned into a beam of azure light and dashed forward. It's done. The Heavenly Tiger tribe's master stabbed the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber into the back of the Azure Tiger tribe's divine general. As long as he stabbed the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, it would be over. However, before he could get close, the Azure Tiger tribe's master disappeared and dodged to the side. I knew he would keep dodging. The Heavenly Tiger tribe's master already knew the pattern. He stepped into the air and spun rapidly in midair, pouncing toward the Azure Tiger tribe's master. At the same time, the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber in the Heavenly Tiger tribe's master's hand stabbed toward the control panel. Just a little bit more, the Azure Tiger tribe's master sped up again and easily dodged the attack. Again, the Heavenly Tiger tribe's master stepped into the air again and chased after the Azure Tiger tribe's master. However, this time, He couldn't catch up no matter how hard he tried. He was still a little bit away. After a long chase, he finally gave up. He couldn't catch up at all. He was still a little bit away. Even if he used everything he had, he was still a little bit away. I give up. The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's master panted. He had chased for so long, but he still couldn't catch up. Instead, he was exhausted. Ha ha ha. Heavenly Tiger Tribe's master, didn't you say you could catch up? The Red Wolf Tribe's master teased. Now you still can't catch up. If you have the ability, why don't you try? You're really too fast. I can't catch up. The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's master glared at him. Sure, I'll try. I'm definitely faster than you. The Red Wolf Tribe's master took the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber and immediately chased after Divine General Azure Tiger. The result was no different. He was still left far behind. Haha, you're still laughing at me. Aren't you also unable to succeed? The Heavenly Tiger Tribe's master laughed when he saw the Red Wolf Tribe's master's sorry state. The Jia Tribe's master and the others shook their heads. They didn't try. They believed that their speed was inferior to the Heavenly Tiger Tribe's master and the Red Wolf Tribe's master. If even they couldn't succeed, then they definitely wouldn't succeed. This is going to be difficult. Why don't we trap it together? Maybe we can succeed. No, if we really do that, we'll definitely be attacked by Divine General Azure Tiger. We can only try it alone. It'll be different if there's more. They shook their heads and fell into deep thought. Let me do it, Etienne said. Sir, didn't you say you couldn't catch up? They asked. When did I say I couldn't catch up? Etienne looked at them and said, weren't you unable to catch up just now? I'm just giving it a try. I didn't use my full strength. But you let me try with the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber. You wanted to try, so why wouldn't I give it to you? Chapter 21:39. Etienne's words made them feel a little awkward, especially the Sky Tiger Tribe leader. He had thought that Etienne wouldn't be able to succeed, so he had to do it. Who knew that Etienne wouldn't even use his full strength? Sir, you should have said so earlier. That way, I wouldn't have to embarrass myself in front of you. The Sky Tiger Tribe leader scratched his head awkwardly. That's an exaggeration. You almost succeeded. That's quite amazing. Looks like you Sky Tigers are quite talented in speed. If you continue to develop in this area, you'll definitely reach a higher level. Etienne had done this because he wanted to see their abilities. It would be best if they could help him get rid of it. At the same time, he wanted to observe the statue situation. It seemed that its speed was quite shocking. It wasn't something that could be stopped with normal speed. If more people could help, they would definitely be able to control its speed. However, they couldn't do that now. Although Azure Tiger Divine General hadn't said so, they could sense from the aura coming from the Azure Tiger Divine General statue that they couldn't move as a group. If they really came at will, they could easily deal with this. Thank you for your praise, but no matter how fast I am, I still can't complete the mission. The Sky Tiger Tribe leader was dejected. There was no point in praising him. Don't be discouraged. You can do it in the future. Etienne smiled and patted him on the shoulder. I'll give it a try. Maybe I won't be able to catch up with the Green Tiger Divine General statue, even if I use all my strength. That's not possible, right? The Sky Tiger Tribe leader thought that Etienne should be able to catch up. After all, Etienne's strength wasn't weak. Nothing's impossible. Let me try first. Etienne took the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber, and with a leap, he turned into a lightning and sprinted forward. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of the Azure Tiger Divine General statue. Then, he raised the everlasting Moon Azure Dragon Saber and stabbed it into the opening. He was much faster than before. The Azure Tiger Divine General statue's figure flickered as it dodged to the side, its speed equally astonishing. However, his speed was not much faster than before. It was still the same speed as before, which was the speed he was forced to by the Heavenly Tiger Clan Chief and the others. It was still the same speed, without any change. This should be the highest speed of the Divine General Cyan Tiger statue, but it was still much faster than ordinary Star Venerables. Now, Etienne's arm was already completely red. His entire arm bulged up from the accumulation of power, and then he aimed at the back of the Azure Tiger Divine General statue and threw it fiercely, concentrating all of his strength into this throw. Xiao! The long moon Azure Dragon Saber that was thrown out turned into a bolt of lightning and accurately hit the insertion hole. It directly sank into the innermost part and made a dang sound before it was completely fixed on the control panel. Rumble, the Cyan Tiger Divine General statue, immediately froze. Then it slowly crouched down and turned back into the control panel. Not bad. Shocking speed. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Fortunately, you didn't gang up on me. Otherwise, I would have taught you what it means to suffer. After the statue had crouched down, it continued, I will leave the rest to you. Make good use of the resources here and resist the intruders. Then, the whole hall became quiet again. That works? The Heavenly Tiger Clan's chief and the others were shocked. They had never thought they could do that. They weren't fast enough, but if they threw it fiercely, the speed would still increase by a shocking amount. Tianyin took advantage of this and controlled the Cyan Tiger Divine General statue in just one round. It was too easy for him to do so. They recalled how they had chased after the statue, stupidly, and tried to stab the long moon Azure Dragon Saber into it every time, but they had missed it every time. However, Tianyin had taken it down in an unconventional way, which made them feel like they couldn't think of a way around it. Of course it works. Did anyone say it couldn't? Tianyin shrugged. No one said it couldn't. They looked at each other. If it were them, they would have done the same thing, but they had never thought of it that way. Don't worry about it. Let's take a look at the control panel. Tianyin smiled and went to the control panel. He grabbed the long moon Azure Dragon Saber and probed it with his spiritual awareness. That was the only way he could control the whole treasury. After a careful examination, his eyes widened. There's really only one exit to the treasury, and that's the main entrance. Now the treasury is surrounded by giant beasts, and there are no less than a dozen star venerables among them. And there's even a giant beast at the Great Star Venerable Realm. Is it a giant divine beast? But it doesn't seem to be a giant divine beast. Let me take a look. I've seen a giant divine beast before. The Ghana tribe's master's face fell. He quickly went to the control panel and grabbed the long moon Azure Dragon Saber. He also extended his spiritual awareness. The Ghana tribe's master and the others all had the corresponding bloodlines, so they could all use the long moon Azure Dragon Saber. However, in terms of effect, it was Tianyin who used it perfectly. After a careful examination, the Ghana tribe's master shook his head and said, It's not a giant divine beast. It should be a giant beast under the giant divine beast. It has been so many years, so it's impossible that there hasn't been a second Grand Star Venerable Beast. This time, they are really angry. They want to trap us here until we die. The others also came over to take a look. They wanted to see what was going on outside. After examining it, they all wore a grave expression. This wasn't something that could be solved easily. There was only one entrance, which meant that if they wanted to go out, they would have to go through many layers of encirclement. It was easy to imagine how dangerous it was. We can use the Great Formation and statue in the treasury to suppress them. The Heaven Tiger tribe's master suggested. This isn't a bad suggestion. However, the treasury situation isn't ideal. The statue and the Great Formation are only effective against Star Venerables. They aren't very effective against Grand Star Venerables. If we were at our peak, the Ghana tribe's master shook his head and said, It's a pity that our attainments and star patterns are still too low. We can't repair this place completely. If they repaired it completely, even a Grand Star Venerable would be killed instantly. This was what it meant by treasures and experts. They couldn't withstand the ravages of time. I have a way to deal with this. However, before that, let me check what's in the treasury. Tianyin was quite calm. He had already set up a teleportation point in the tribe. He had the super teleportation divine stone, so he could easily teleport there without fear of restrictions. However, he didn't want to use the super teleportation divine stone if he had no other choice. It would be a waste. He just wanted to see if there were any divine medicines like the 10,000 Emperor Flower. This way, after he raised his cultivation level, he could go on a killing spree. If one's cultivation was not high enough, one would not be able to face a Grand Star Venerate. This was especially so for a Grand Star Venerate of a colossal beast. After looking around with hope, he finally found the pill he needed. The Myriad Emperor Pill. The Myriad Emperor Pill was refined from the Myriad Emperor Flower and supplemented with other decent spirit herbs. It was even more amazing than the pill refined from the Myriad Emperor Flower alone. Great! There really is a Myriad Sovereign Pill. Tianyun was overjoyed. He thought it wasn't there, but he still found it here and in a corner. As expected of a treasure vault, there were still pills of this type. The Myriad Emperor Flower was still of a lower tier, but there were still pills of a higher tier. Tianyun looked around and found that most of them were pills of a higher tier. However, to him, these medicinal pills had almost no effect. They were all medicinal pills for cultivation or for healing. It wasn't that these pills were bad, but they were of no use to him. For example, pills for cultivation were of no use to him. If he consumed them, he would obtain very little star energy. They were not even as much as the star energy he obtained from killing some of the giant beasts. Unless he had an astonishing number of pills, he would be like a hungry tiger. No matter how much he ate, he wouldn't be able to satiate himself. After finding the Myriad Emperor Pill, he immediately found a cultivation room and went into seclusion to consume it. Right now, he urgently needed to raise his astral aspect to level 4. Only then would he be able to break through and become a Grand Star Venerable. I hope this Myriad Emperor Pill can help me break through to level 4. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to look for more Myriad Emperor Flowers. There is only one Myriad Emperor Pill in such a huge treasure vault. It wasn't rare, but since it was used in large quantities, there weren't many left. In Divine General Qing Hu's generation, it was used more often. They all needed to quickly nurture Grand Star Venerables to strengthen their faction. Because of this, the number of pills used was high, and there weren't many choices. As a result, Myriad Emperor Pills were rare. There were many other cultivation pills, and all kinds of divine medicines could help increase one's cultivation. Only the Myriad Emperor Flower was needed to raise his astral aspect to level 4. Even though there were other divine medicines to replace it, the Myriad Emperor Flower was still the main ingredient. There were only a few star venerables on the desolate dragon planet, and they didn't know that such a divine medicine was needed to reach a higher level. Tianyun didn't think too much about it. He quickly swallowed the Myriad Emperor Pill and went into seclusion to cultivate. He didn't care about what was going on outside. At the same time, outside, the Jia family's chief and the others were searching for treasures like crazy. They had emptied the treasure vault. They couldn't move the treasure vault, so they could only move the treasures first. It's really profitable. There's so many treasures. They can definitely help our tribe reach a higher level. That's right. Divine General Qing, who said he didn't leave many treasures behind. He was really modest. Actually, Divine General Qing who was right. He didn't leave many treasures behind. Maybe the treasures we have now are less than 10% of what we had at our peak. The peak of our era, they couldn't help but sigh. They knew some things about the past from the records. When they had been at their peak, there had been countless experts. However, many experts had died because of the giant beast attacks. The peak of their era had declined quickly. The era that had belonged to them had suddenly changed. Fortunately, it hadn't been occupied by the giant beasts, which was a good result. While they were reminiscing, a rumbling sound suddenly came from outside. The whole treasure vault was shaking. What? What's going on? Their expressions changed. They quickly went to the control panel to check the situation. Soon, they discovered that one part of the Divine Palace had been broken through. Many giant beasts had entered through the gap. As time elapsed, the Divine Palace had been attacked fiercely, and some parts of it had become weaker. Under the fierce attacks, it had finally been broken through. Fortunately, it was just one area. Most areas were still fine. Chapter 2141. The shrine has been breached. How did they do it? Crimson Wolf Patriarch's face darkened when he saw the situation. Although they had taken away the treasures, they did not want to see the shrine be tarnished by the giant beasts. They must have kept destroying the defensive formation and attack from underground. They must have found the weakest point and kept attacking until it was breached. Sky Tiger Patriarch's expression turned cold. If this continues, they will gradually break through the shrine and kill their way in. Looks like they have been destroying the shrine all along. They can't find the key to open it, so they can only enter through the destruction shrine. The shrine was not truly invincible. There were still some areas that were relatively weak. The other party used this point and started to destroy crazily. Finally, they broke through it this time. The inside of the shrine was not as hard as the outside. The inside was relatively weaker. Of course, no matter how weak it was, they could not do as they pleased. There were still many guard statues here. They could not let the giant beasts run around casually, especially when there were many formations. If they walked around casually, they would definitely die. Should we inform the Lord? Crimson Wolf Patriarch asked. No need. The Lord has already gone into seclusion. We will not disturb him during his seclusion. We can make good use of the shrine to exterminate these invaders. Jana Patriarch and the others nodded. They could not always rely on Etianyan. Moreover, they were the patriarchs and knew what to do. If they did not even know what to do, they would be letting down their patriarchs. After finalizing the plan, they quickly started to activate the formation and send out the guard statues to rush towards the broken hole. With the Long Moon Azure Dragon Saber here, they could easily control everything in the shrine. Therefore, even without Etianyan here, they could still control it. Unless the treasury was completely bound to one person, they could control it at will. At the bottom of the shrine, the giant beasts continued to charge in crazily after they rushed in. There was no technique involved in their destruction, and they did not break the formation by destroying the eye of the formation. They were just simply smashing their way through. This was the style of the giant beasts. They could only do this. No giant beast would carve any star runes. It was purely a mad dash. Whenever it was smashed, it would be the time to charge in. This kind of impudence was very crude, but the effect was very obvious. The entire temple shook from the impact, and the star patterns on its surface flickered, as if it would collapse at any moment. The divine hall had been maintained for so long that the star patterns had gradually weakened. Without anyone to maintain it, it had become like this. It was impossible for a star pattern great array to exist forever without diminishing its effects. At most, it could only be maintained for a little longer. It was impossible for anyone to maintain it forever. Only when there were people constantly maintaining and protecting it could it continue to exist. Roar! Groups of star venerate level beasts charged in. Every time they charged, they contained the strength of a strong star venerate level beast. They could not be casually blocked. When they collided, the floor suddenly flashed with an astonishing light. Countless light blades shot out and cut them into countless pieces. Blood splashed all over the room, making it look rather bloody. No matter how thick the skin of a strong star venerate beast was, it could not block this horrifying saber light. In an instant, all the giant beasts here were killed. Correspondingly, the effect of the large formation here began to rapidly dim. If they wanted to launch another attack, they would have to accumulate power again. There were too many giant beasts charging in, and the energy consumed to keep shooting the saber light blades was astonishing. It would take a long time to replenish it. Roar! Another group of giant beasts charged in. They were not afraid of death at all. They charged at the wall again, and the divine hall started to shake. However, the large formation could not launch an attack at that moment. They could only watch the giant beasts continue to destroy the divine hall. When they thought everything would go smoothly, the gates suddenly opened. 7 or 8 statues came out and started to attack them. They almost killed one beast with one punch. Those were statues in the late stage of the Star Venerable Realm. How could they be weak? They could kill those giant beasts with one punch. Roar! The Star Venerate level giant beasts charged in immediately and started to fight with the statues. For a time, it was hard to tell who would win, and the fight ended in a draw. The statues were just statues. They were not real practitioners, so the power they could control was very limited. Although the Star Venerable Beasts did not know any top moves, their dreadful brute force could knock over everything. Dong! 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 The statues were knocked over one after another. In a head-on collision, the statues were not a match for the Star Venerable Beasts. One was an inanimate object, while the other was a living one. They were certainly different. After the statues were knocked away, they only dented a little under the fierce attacks. It was not a big problem, but their fighting power started to decline. If the statues were slightly damaged, their power would decrease. However, soon, the gate opened again. A large group of statue guards came out again. They were all in the late stage of the Star Venerable realm. When such a large group of statue guards came out, the situation became more and more oppressive. The statues started to beat the Star Venerable Beasts. They kept retreating. Some of the Star Venerable Beasts were even killed. Although it took them a lot of effort, they were still able to kill them. These statue guards are really powerful. Each one is harder than the last. Even if they hit us, the damage would be limited. The Ghana tribe's chieftain and others were excited when they saw the situation. This was the effect of the Divine Hall. With a large number of guards, they could kill many giant beasts if they went out in waves to fight with them. When they thought they could drive the giant beasts out, a giant figure suddenly dashed in from outside the Divine Hall and stomped on it. Boom! The whole Divine Hall started to shake. Several statue guards were stomped on the ground and flattened. Even the hard statues were dented by the stomp. The statue guards were not dead, but they could not move after being stomped on. It would take a long time for them to recover. It's the Star Venerable Beasts. Their expressions changed. Those statues were strong, but their overall power was not enough to defeat the Star Venerable Beasts. While the Divine Hall was in chaos, the situation inside Etienne's body started to improve quickly. He was only a little bit away from a breakthrough. Just a little bit more, and I will be able to advance to a higher level. Hurry up, hurry up. Chapter 2142. Etienne could feel the shrine shaking violently. He knew something must have happened down there, and it must be a chaotic situation. But he could not stop here. He had to hold on until he reached the level 4 star Dharma idol. Besides, they were the only ones in the shrine. There was no one else. So, even if the shrine was destroyed, it would not be a great loss. The most important thing was to keep the people alive. He had to break through now. Only by breaking through and becoming a real powerhouse could he resist those giant beasts. If he stopped breaking through now, although he could go down and solve some problems, it would only be a temporary solution. It would not be a permanent solution. When he reached the Grand Star Venerable realm, it would be a permanent solution. Even if he could not kill the giant divine beasts, he would at least be able to resist them and not be trapped there. You must hold on. I'm almost there. Etienne increased his power. He was only a little bit away from breaking through. While he was focusing on breaking through, the people down, they were also focusing on dealing with the giant beasts. However, the guardian statues sent out were easily crushed by the Grand Star Venerable Beasts, as if they were made of paper. Basically, they would flatten everything that came their way. Even if they couldn't completely destroy the guardian statues, it was not a problem to beat them until they couldn't get up. This Grand Star Venerable Beast is really heaven-defying. Such a hard guardian statue was crushed easily. If it were not for the good material, it would have been crushed. When they checked the situation down there, their faces became gloomy. They did not dare send more guardian statues down there. The number of guardian statues they sent out was the same. Some of them were not crushed at first, so they were stepped on several times until they could not move anymore. Fortunately, the guardian statues were not completely destroyed. They only needed to repair them, and then they could be used again. However, they did not have the ability to repair them. They could only take them back and repair them when they were strong enough. After they were repaired, the guardian statues in the late star venerable level were quite powerful. If their levels were higher, these guardian statues could even reach the Grand Star Venerable level. Of course, these Grand Star Venerable level statues did not really have the power of a Grand Star Venerable. They could not use the Grand Star Venerate's absolute command law. However, they possessed the power of an ordinary grand star venerate, and their might was still shocking. Stop for now. Don't send them out. We don't have many guardian statues left, the Ghana patriarch said in a deep voice. They all nodded in agreement. The guardian statues were no longer released. Without the obstruction of the guardian statues, the giant beasts began to crazily attack the temple again and again. The Supreme Star Venerate beast also charged forward. Every time it collided with the wall, a crack would appear on the wall. It seemed like it wouldn't take long for the wall to be completely destroyed. Sure enough, after the temple was destroyed, the interior was easier to destroy. I'm done accumulating energy. Activate the light blade formation again. The Heavenly Tiger Patriarch once again used the light blade formation. As the floor flickered, countless light blades were unleashed once again. In an instant, the whole house was filled with those light blades. Wherever they went, there would be blood and flesh everywhere. Even the Supreme Star Venerable beasts were injured by those light blades. Some of them were even cut into pieces. However, they did not die. As long as their souls were not completely destroyed, they would be able to recover their bodies quickly, just like cultivators. There were some losses, but at least they were not like the previous Star Lords, who could kill them in one move. Roar! The most shocking thing was the Grand Star Venerable Beast. It had suffered the most attacks from the light blades. Its body was a bloody mess, but it had not been cut into many pieces. At most, its wounds seemed to be slightly deeper, but it was completely fine. This was the defense of a Supreme Star Venerable Beast. It was so strong that it could not be injured. If it had been an ordinary Supreme Star Venerable, they would have been injured even if they did not die after being attacked by so many light blades. However, the Supreme Star Venerable Beast was fine. It was only slightly injured, which was enough to prove how dreadful it was. Not only was the Supreme Star Venerable Beast fine, but it was also infuriated. As it roared, the wounds on the Supreme Star Venerable Beast's body healed quickly. Then it started to crazily hit the wall. After 2 or 3 hits, many cracks appeared on the wall. It looked extremely fragile. Boom! As expected, the wall could not bear such a violent hit any longer. It collapsed right away. What a dreadful power! They were all stunned. The powerful light blades had not only failed to kill the Supreme Star Venerable Beast, but they had also infuriated it. After a series of collisions, another layer of the wall was broken. It's okay. It can hold on for a while. There are many walls in the temple. We can continue to use the great formation inside to exhaust the Supreme Star Venerable Beast. They believed they could exhaust the Supreme Star Venerable Beast bit by bit. How could they not kill it with so many great formations? Don't. While they were discussing, the ground shook again. They checked, and their expressions changed. The walls of the second room were covered with cracks after just 1 hit. It was not because the defensive formation on the wall had weakened. It was because the Supreme Star Venerable Beast was completely infuriated. It wanted to smash this place into pieces. Hurry up. Activate the Great Formation. They activated the Great Formation again. With a flash of light, countless light arrows shot out, piercing through the giant beast in front of them. Soon, many giant beasts were turned into sieves. Many of them were pierced through. Many of them had bloody holes. The effect was obvious. However, the Supreme Star Venerable Beast did not have any injuries on its surface. It had managed to block the attacks. This guy seems to have thick armor on its body. It looks like a giant armored bear. It has thick armor that can block a lot of damage. Ordinary attacks have no effect on it at all. They were frightened. So many sharp arrows had no effect at all. This gave them a fright. How were they supposed to fight against such thick armor? The arrows were so powerful, but they could not even pierce the beast. At most, they only scratched the beast's skin and made it bleed a little. This guy was really like a siege beast. Maybe it did not have heaven-defying attacks, but it had heaven-defying defenses that could block most of the damage and destroy the enemy's walls. It's over. How can we defend this place? They were dumbfounded. They had wanted to exhaust the Supreme Star Venerable Beast with the Great Formation. However, it seemed like it had little effect. If they could not kill it in one hit, the temple would be completely destroyed if this went on. At that moment, a figure slowly walked in from outside and said in a deep voice, "I'm back, that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."